Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin, Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
Very thankful for the 12th man. They've won us games.
These other schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
Our skill set worked great together. Like, he was more speed and I was more power, and then we put together, it was like thunder and lightning, you know.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Kind of feel weird in here. No B, no social center. Will Smith at the end of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's kind of go through it because you know what we're going to start with, we're going to end with. We're going to be talking about it all day long here on TexAgs Radio. The 90-minute delay, the walk-off, the Cadence Sorrell catch, so many different storylines last night. The fact that Arkansas hadn't walked anybody into that final inning, and there we are, A&M now with a chance to not only win the series, they want the whole West. They want the whole darn thing. And that was a game that 21 straight innings we've seen from A&M pitching that has not given up a run. A game where the offense was not the storyline. It was all about the pitching. And unfortunately for A&M's offense, it's been a little bit. But let's go ahead and admit it. This game was 100% an Arkansas type of game. And when you think about it, the wind's blowing in. All right, that does not help out Texas A&M. You got Hagen Smith going out there. 13 strikeouts. You hear that Hagen Smith has 13 strikeouts. What do you think to yourself? You think, yeah, we're probably not going to win. The team overall struck out 20 times. Yeah. No offense, just 5 hits in this game. Yet the magic of Olin was there at the very, very end. As I mentioned, those 3 walks. This had the makings of not being our night. And at times I was worried, like leading up to the game, I'm sure all of you were thinking, like, are we even going to get this game? And they had this torrential downpour, tornadoes all through the area, not necessarily in the Brazos Valley, but not far away. And you're thinking, I don't even know if we're going to get this game. And they keep pushing it back, push back to 8:30, hoping lightning doesn't hit the area. But thank goodness it did get in. And your 2 aces, right? Your 2 studs were huge in that. We have the graphic there of Evan Oschenbeck, who was so good yesterday. He was fantastic, and he really needed to be after, a couple of rough outings. So late last night at probably 12:30 or so, Jim Schlossnagle did say it's probably going to be Justin Lampkin on the mound today. And I was looking through his numbers because obviously the last few outings for him have not been that good. He's got 2 straight losses. His last win was on April the 23rd versus the University of Houston. In his last 2 outings, and this is not to scare you. I'm actually going to bring in some optimism here in a moment. But in his last 2 outings, 4 2/3 innings pitched combined in that time. 8 earned runs. Both of those games, though, on the road. His last home start, A&M versus Georgia. You'll remember that. He actually pitched very well in that game. He, 5 2/3 in that one, allowed 1 hit, striking out 7 in that game. Remember, his losses have been on the road recently. A&M did end up losing that game, but it was not Justin Lampkin's fault. So we'll see what kind of version of Justin Lampkin we get tonight, because this is the one to win the series, put you on the right track. I think they've already secured that national seed. I believe Bronny said it yesterday on the thread. He believes that they're there by getting that one. But let's keep going. Let's keep going higher on that, and let's examine the reasons why yesterday was so big. Obviously, we know that they had been in a tailspin. They haven't been playing their best baseball. So you get a win against the premier pitching staff in the SEC, one of the best teams in the SEC, a team that's leading for the West, a team that if you beat 3 times, you're going to take the West. So a bit of a losing streak. Your offense has been struggling, and for good reason, against Hagen Smith and that staff, right? The 20 strikeouts. But beyond that, the offense had been struggling the last one. The defense recently had been having some issues, but not against Arkansas, and that catch from Caden Sorrell was phenomenal. Probably game-winning catch. So how are you feeling about the win? I want to hear from you. 979-693-1150. That is the number to get in on the show. No OB this morning. We typically do 3 things we want to see. I'll get into those here in a moment, but let's hear from you. Let's get to the text line. We got no social center, so bear with me as I get to those text lines. We'll go behind the glass, though, and say hi to my buddy, Nick Savage, who was at the game, not only videoing it, taking it all in. Nicky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nicky Jam.
I don't like that.
Oh, sorry.
Anyways, unfortunately, got there at 6:30 because, they moved the start time back. And I was like, okay, not too bad. Then they moved it back to 8:30. Then, it knew we were in for a long night. But it just felt like, I don't know about you, David, but it always seems like those pitching duels like that are 0-0 deep into the later stages of a game. It always feels like it's going to be a solo home run or something that breaks the tie, But I guess with the wind blowing in last night and with Oschenbeck on the mound absolutely dealing for the Aggies, and Arkansas, you got to tip the cap. They brought out some good arms out of the bullpen after Hagen Smith, and it kept it a really close game up until that final inning, and the 12th man really, really brought it. Now, let me preface what I'm about to say by saying this. I've never been to a regional or anything like that, so I don't know what that atmosphere's like. But that final inning when the Aggies had the bases loaded and Ted Burton at the plate, that was like kind of piggybacking off what we talked about yesterday with Kyle Field and all that. It's like a little microdose of Kyle Field because that was the loudest I've ever heard Olsen Field. And I mean, they were in that pitcher's head, and it got him a walk and a walk-off walk at that.
Yeah, look, here's the thing, guys. We haven't been playing well, right? And this team has proven that they don't have to just mash to win. You go back to the 22 season, which was the best season in my time, right? And you can argue some, but it's the best finish they've ever had, right? The furthest they went. In that season, you got some really good pitching performances. Micah Dallas had his days. Like there were dudes that had like moments you're like, all right, we're pretty good. But you knew you were going to win games because you could mash, right? This was way more than mashing, right? Like what we've seen this season, there have been games where it's been the pitching, like we saw last night. There have been games where it's been defense, and of course, there have been the games where you've mashed. They can beat you multiple ways, and that's what we saw last night. And again, though, can we the matchup was Hagen Smith versus Ryan Prager. Nationally, Hagen Smith is the dude, right? He's the guy. He's the one they compared to Paul Skeens. Who matched him? Ryan Prager matched him. Ryan Prager's an ace. Look what he did. He was phenomenal. He didn't have the 14 strikeouts that Hagen Smith had. I thought it was 13. It was 14. All right. He had 9. He didn't give up a run. That's the 10th shutout this year. That ties a record for A&M baseball. So, guys, with him on the mound, taking on the best pitcher, he matched him. And then you got to think, and by the way, Arkansas's got way more arms. I previewed, getting into this series, and they still got more. They got guys we haven't seen yet. They got their best guys still. So, and Hagen Smith is their best pitcher, but their best relief pitcher still to go. You look at that, guys. I'm telling you, hopefully this is the start of, all right, we found a way to win. Now we're gonna start winning the way we like to win. And look, with the wind blowing in and taking on such an elite pitching staff to get that first one to go deep. Look, we may not see Evan Oschenbeck the rest of the way in this series. We may not. They may have to rest him up for Hoover. But he came in and did his thing. So now you need Justin Lampkin and Chris Cortez and Shane Sadeo, hopefully on Sunday, to get it done, right? Let the pitching staff keep Arkansas at bay, and hopefully Braden Montgomery, who's been in a slump, finds his way out of it. Jace does his thing. Hopefully we get the win to play a role in this one. Let's hear from Coach Schlossnagle yesterday, because he did talk about how there was a lot of great pitching in this game, but a wow moment after all.
Wow, a lot of pitchers that are going to pitch for a long time. Obviously, Smith is. I was trying to remember a lefty that I've seen that starts with that kind of arm, and I can't remember one in 35 years. So, but Prager was in his own way, obviously, just as good. We made some nice plays behind him, played really well in the outfield. Jace made a couple big plays. Sorrell made the big one, whatever inning that was. But yeah, it was two really good teams and just elite pitching. Wow.
Elite pitching for sure. So then they pressed him. I think it was Richard who asked the follow-up question a little bit later on in the press conference about Prager and Aschenbeck. And let's listen to Schloss go into it, because he starts like he was good. And then he goes, but he matched him. Here it is.
I mean, it's good. He's he's probably right up there. Especially, it's probably one of the best ones considering who he's matched up against, because that any pitch at any time, and they had guys on, he doesn't strike out as many as Hagen, and so at any time, any pitch, if one run's going to feel like four, and so you got to match him, and he did that.
And to see Evan Aschenbeck bounce back the way he did, give you, I believe, 4 innings, and then also save the rest of the bullpen. What was that mean for him and the club?
Huge. It's good to stretch Evan out. I doubt we get to use him again this weekend, but good to stretch him out because we're going to need him to be able to do that in the postseason.
No doubt about that. He was huge. Good to see him back on the right side. Now we just need Braden Montgomery on the right side. All right, the number is 979-693-1150. Typically, I do 3 things I want to see. I'm going to do that. Nick, can I put you to the task? Can you come up with 3 things? I'll go first, so it gives you time. Can you come up with 3 things you want to see this weekend?
Sure. Go for it. I hope you don't steal one, but...
if I steal it, just put your spin on it. There's always a spin.
Cool.
Okay.
This is a good warm-up for summer hosting duties, so let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, so here's my first one. I don't just want to win the series. I want to sweep the series, guys. We're asking about things that I want to see this weekend, right? I want to see sweep the series.
And you want to see an SEC West championship is what you want to see.
Exactly right. If you sweep the series, who wins the West? We win the West. All right. So if you're asking what I want to see, that's what I want to see. What I want to see that's realistic, I want to see that. You're a Blue Bill? Win it all. Let's go. Let's get the offense back on track. I think that's the other thing that I would add to, for us to win it, we need to see the offense get back on track. You're not going to, you're probably not going to win 14-4 against this pitching staff, but 7-2, let's go. All right? So that's the second thing I want to see. I'm going to move on because I think this will be on Nick's agenda without a doubt. Softball. Let's just win the freaking thing and go to Texas, right? Win this weekend. You're here in town. Let's win. Move on to Texas. This is a lot of winning I want to see this weekend, Nick. All right? So softball, take care of business. 2 games today. Win those. Win tomorrow. Let's move on, right? That's exactly what I want to see. And the other thing is, Nick, did you know we have a chance to win a national championship in tennis this weekend?
Yeah, of course.
That's what I want to see.
Let's do it.
Can we win a national championship, all right? And shut up all the people on social media. Let's win a national championship. We've got chances all around, by the way. You got baseball's got a chance. Track's got a chance. You got men's golf has a chance. They're moving on. We'll have Brian Kortan on the show a little bit later. A lot of chances to win it. We got one right now. Softball can win it. We have one right now that can happen. So let's get through this weekend and win it. All right, Nick, you give me your 3 things.
Okay, I got you. So I think the crowd at Olin last night was good, but I think the rain and obviously there was flooding around College Station, so that kind of had. By the way, quick side tangent. Shout out to the field staff. There was an ocean in center field. There was standing water about ankle high in center field, and they got it cleared out by 8:30, enough to play a game. So shout out to the A&M field staff, by the way. But anyways,
shout out.
Yeah, Olin. Let's see it packed tonight and tomorrow night, and I'm sure it will be, especially it being a Friday and Saturday game. I'm really excited to see an absolutely sold-out Olin Field. So let's see that. That's one thing I want to see. I want to see a Braden Montgomery home run, maybe 2. Why not 2?
Let's go with 2.
Yeah, let's go with 2. Yeah, maybe. Maybe in the same game, maybe tonight. I don't know, but I'd like to see a couple Braden Montgomery home runs. Why not? And I'm going to take your softball and I'm going to spin it. I want to see. And this is maybe this isn't even possible, but I'm going to say it anyways. I want the Aggies to host a super regional because let's say Texas gets upset in their regional, right?
Okay.
And A&M comes out of theirs. Well, guess what? I think that means the Aggies get to play their super regional right here at Davis Diamond. So I would love to see that. But yeah, I just want to.
Would you rather see that than A&M going to Austin and upsetting the number one team in the country?
See, I didn't think about it like that, David.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I like their demise as soon as possible at all times. Right. I'd rather them just the misery of losing. But it would be sweet.
If it comes at the hands of Trisha Ford and Emily Kennedy and Rylan Wiggins, why not?
But let's be honest, this is going to be a tough regional here. The other thing I wanted to get into here before we hit a break is I'm sure your ESPN app went off this morning. Did you see the news with Scotty Scheffler?
I did.
Holy smokes.
I guarantee you he dropped a, "Do you know who I am?" on them, and they said, "Yeah, you're going to jail."
He dropped an OB on him?
Does he pull that out routinely?
No, I'm kidding. No, he doesn't. But, so, I'm thinking to myself that, first off, somebody died today. Right, there was a pedestrian that was hit by a car. That's why there was so much chaos.
That's okay. So I didn't. Yeah. I haven't read that much into it. Yikes.
Yeah, I saw that. That was the initial tweet, I think, from Jeff Darlington from ESPN, who had the initial tweet about it this morning that I saw super early. And then, as news started coming out, basically, I don't think the cops knew he was a golfer trying to get to the course. And obviously, I'm going to hold my hot sports take because, A, first, someone died, and B, I don't know all the details. This is what happens in sports. Like, somebody gets arrested, and we rush to jump to a conclusion, and then more information comes out. I'm not going to do that. Based on the information that we have out there, he didn't stop when the police asked him to stop. I think the cop jumped on the car and, like held on for 10 feet, and then he stopped. They pulled him out. They put him in jail. Jeff Darlington's got video as they're escorting him out, taking him to the police car, and they're going to take him to jail. And he's talking to the police officer, and he's like, "There's nothing you can do. He's going to jail. He's going to jail." So the number one golfer in the world, from all indications, a super good guy. Who knows what happened here? Did he just think that the law didn't apply to him, or did he misunderstand what was being told? And he's like, "I'm a golfer. I can go." I don't know what happened. And he'll have to answer that, and I'm sure he'll have a spin, and the police will have a spin. But, think about that from, different worlds. What would you say Scotty Scheffler is? He's who is he in the NFL? He's Patrick Mahomes in the NFL.
Yeah,
he's
currently.
Right? He's LeBron. I mean, Tiger is that in golf, but, he is the guy right now. He is the guy. He wins majors, plural.
I don't know if you saw this, but they ESPN sent out a notification not too long ago that he's facing 4 charges.
One's a felony.
Second-degree assault of a police officer. Not good.
No, not good at all. Look, I'm not wishing for his demise or anything like that. I'd like more information I don't know if we're going to get that much more. They'll have a spin, right? But here's something I was taught a long time ago. The police tell you to stop, you stop. Yeah, your hands up. Put your hands on the steering wheel, whatever you do. Why was he driving, though? I'm trying to think to myself, look, I'm not saying that he should have, a chauffeur everywhere he goes, but I'm thinking if you're on the way to play golf and you're probably with your team, right? You're usually I'm thinking you're with your caddy, your publicist, you're probably together. Why are you the one driving? I don't know. All right, we'll get into, we won't get into more of that unless Bronny and Zane want to get into it, but what we'll do is this. Let me set the agenda for the rest of the show. JB Moss should be in studio 8:35. Looking forward to talking to JB and get his thoughts on last night and the rest of it. We'll have Kay Naegeli here in a few minutes, I believe. Do we have that next? Yep, Around Aggieland with Kay Naegeli. We'll do Bank on it a little bit later. The baseball bunch will start at 9 o'clock. Bronny has pushed back recruiting country because he had some stuff going on Wednesdays, and when Billy came in, so we'll do recruiting country at 10 o'clock. Brian Kortan will be in studio later on in the 10 o'clock hour. We might have some other things in the works as well, so we'll do that as it comes. Right now, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with more. If you're looking for a reason to come back to Aggieland, I know a lot of you are visiting this week, and there are some folks from Arkansas visiting. I know there's a bunch of Aggies in town to check out the baseball series, and they're probably thinking to themselves, I want to live here. You can live here, right? I mean, obviously, you can buy property out here. Get a job out here and work for the Association of Former Students. They want to hire great professionals to join their team in several different departments, fundraising, marketing, and student programs, and much, much more. They are the premier alumni association and the oldest organization supporting A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out the association with Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone who would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB is not here. I made mention of him dropping a "Do you know who I am?" card. He wouldn't do that. People know who he is anyway. But he's listening. He heard that. So, OB, I got you, buddy. We can't wait to have you here back in the studio on Monday. Got a couple messages I want to get to before we get to Around Aggieland. Here's one from your Talus. Hi there. Okay.
What?
I just paused when I said the name. Your Talus. He says, David, this is a bigger win than you're saying. They beat Arkansas playing Arkansas's game plan. 100%. It's big for multiple reasons. Yeah, when you play not only their brand, it just, the stakes, well, not the stakes, everything was in their favor. The wind's blowing in, a pitcher's duel. That's how they want to win games. And you won. And you won late. and you won only using a couple pitchers. So fantastic there. Love that. Let's see. The other thing it says, Christopher says it's called FAFO, says the police. Do you know what that means?
Say that again. FAFO?
Yeah, FAFO. FAFO. Well, I guess whatever happened to Scotty Scheffler. I don't know what that means. All right. Anyway, it's time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking website is normandystatebank.com. And here is Kay Naegeli.
Did you stay up for all of it last night?
I can't answer that on the air. So this is what I did. I was halfway awake, halfway asleep. I was, I passed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hearing it happen.
So like it's going in your brain.
It is, but I'm not really sleeping when you do that. But you're also not really paying attention. Like it's like fake sleep. You see what I'm saying? Like you're not getting deep sleep.
Never had that before. Oh, so you're like in the light stages still?
Well, yeah, because you can kind of hear what's going on, right? And I woke up at around. I woke up after they won, like with the celebration. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, good.
And then at 2:30 in the morning, I guess my brain wouldn't slow down. I said, all right, I need to relive it. So I went and I rewound and I started watching and then I went on Twitter, see reaction.
At 2:30.
2:30 in the morning. And then I went back to sleep. Then my wife woke up at like 4 because she goes to work early, woke me up, upset me. Then I'm trying to sleep, but I'm thinking about the game. And then at 4:45, it was back
So
to
you got
work.
a power nap.
It was sleep. Here's a Davidism. Sleep, but it wasn't.
It wasn't sleep?
I mean, it was like eyes closed, trying to sleep, but it wasn't.
Okay.
But good.
Okay.
I wanted to stay awake. That's why I left the TV on. I was like, I need to watch this game because it's my job.
Yeah.
And I will get fired if I don't watch this game. Billy told me that. So I tried, and I was awake. I had the TV on.
You did your absolute very best. And I'm proud of you for that.
It's the same thing as if I were driving and listening to Monaco on the broadcast. It's the same thing. I was listening.
Mm-hmm. It's just the visuals weren't there.
Visual wasn't there.
Maybe that was the funnest part towards the end, but...
But I'm awake this morning, happy to talk about it.
Perfect.
What do you got going?
Let us talk. Yeah, I was there last night. Also, it was electric, if I do say so myself, especially just the student atmosphere. They were completely bought in despite the rain delay and all of that. Yeah, when they loaded the bases, Ted Burton comes up. I mean, you could feel it in there. It was getting rowdy. So let's talk about it. It was an incredible pitching duel that turned into an 11-inning affair. Hagen Smith was absolutely incredible, as well as Ryan Brauninger. Smith went for 6 innings, allowed 2 hits, 14 Ks, and also became Arkansas's leader in strikeouts last night.
Wow.
And walked 0. Ryan Brauninger, on the other hand, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 9 Ks, and only walked 1. Ashenbeck was also wonderful in relief. And then Ted Burton had the big walk-off walk, just stood there, let it come to him. It was pretty awesome.
Hey, let me interject. I was just told by multiple people what FAFO stands for.
Oh, God, no.
I'm not going to say it.
I don't think I want to know.
Mess around and find out.
Yeah.
I should have known that.
I haven't correlated it with the...
Mess around and find out. That's what happens when people
out.
in the press box try to hit on people. Like, you mess around and find out. Continue on.
FAFO. That's a good motto. Also, talking on the diamond, we have 2 big weekends on the diamond. This one at Davis Diamond, though. Trisha Ford's Aggies will host Texas State, Penn State, and Albany. They are the 16th seed in the Bryan College Station Regional. They will start play today. Penn State and Texas State will get going at 3, and then A&M and Albany at 5:30. So we have plenty of diamond sports to watch all day long.
We got a lot of A&M, just sports in general going on.
And then all 4 teams in the field have an ace with below a 2.2 ERA, so it should be a heavy pitching weekend at Davis. But A&M, they are number 2 in slugging in the country, so hopefully those bats can wake up and they can take care of business this weekend. Additionally, talking about more sports, also just want to give a brief shout out. Mike Elko standing during the entire baseball, or like the ending of the baseball game with his son last night. Pretty awesome just to see a head coach have that much buy-in and that much care for, another sport around here that's having success. So
love that.
Shout out Elko. And then additionally on the golf front, I know y'all have Jared Chadwell on this morning, but the women's golf team is set to compete at the 2024 NCAA Championships. Also a huge weekend for them. They will tee off at 3:50 today to begin.
That starts today at 3:50. Wow.
Today at 3:50. So we got
that to work. Yeah.
a lot of big stuff going on. And then men's golf earned a spot in next week's NCAA Championships with the 3rd place finish in the Stanford Regional. And then, like I said, they'll get going next Friday in California. So
they're traveling soon though, because Kortan's coming in today because they're getting going.
Okay, gotcha. Both golf teams crushing it right now. And then also, I mean, women's tennis has been a consistent present in my little Around Aggieland news because we're always doing something great. So they are set to face number 5 Virginia in the 3rd consecutive Elite 8 after upsetting the reigning national champions number 4 North Carolina.
They should win the whole darn
going
thing.
Today. Yeah, I'm trying to remember last year if they advanced past. I'm pretty sure last year they advanced past the Elite 8, but I think they fell there, or maybe other way around. But it'll be
what time is that one?
Weekend. I need to look that one. I'll get back to you on that.
Get back to me on that.
I will get back to you.
I can Google it. Anything else?
That's all for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Kay. Appreciate you.
Of course.
A couple other notes to get into. Let's go to TexAgs chat. Where did it go? It closed. Good times. Here it is. This is from Calvin. Nuño, an old-time pitchers duel. Big win last night. Amazed they even played the game. Glad they got it in. Absolutely. Scar tissue. Kind of like me. Unfortunately, I stopped watching after 9 innings. Like, I didn't stop watching. I just fell asleep. Like, it was.
You were listening.
Yes.
It was.
Well, I did stop
going
watching.
into your brain. Well, you did stop watching, technically.
Scar tissue. You're like me, buddy. You can have the excuse if you had it in the background.
You had Tom Hart just straight to the
whispering
to the
in my
dome.
ears with
Straight
Kyle
to the
Peterson.
dome.
Yeah, that's weird. I just said that. All right, we'll hit a break. JB Moss, I think, is in the lobby. We'll get JB in here. We might be joined by some others out there. Right now, let's talk Heritage Films, Chancellor McLean's company. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. They make documentary films about families. I like to think of it as like a documentary film about, you know, moms and dads and like their story, but there's so many different ways you can tell a family story or a group of friends story, right? You can do your grandfather's story, you can do your family business story, you can do your family ranch story, you can do a group of buddies who get together and play golf every weekend story. There's so many different ways you can do it, and Chance loves being an eye in the sky for big events. Father's Day is coming up. Be a great documentary to get done for your pops, or even have Chance and his crew out there to kind of cover a big family event that you're doing together. It is a great thing to do, and we were very honored to do it, and I love having my dad involved in it, getting his story told. So that's one option. You got the Heritage Film, the 2-hour documentary that takes about 2 months to get done. But you're part of it. One afternoon, he'll come, he'll be in the crew, he'll video it, he'll get it all done. 2 months later, you got yourself a 2-hour movie. You have the Yearflix option, quicker, faster version. We're talking 20-minute Q&A video for the kids and the family. It doesn't matter. It could be younger kids. It could be college-age kids, right? Freshman year. Capture what they're into, Q&A, benchmark video. He'll do that, and then follow it up when they get their Aggie ring, follow it up when they get married. Bam, 3-part story. You can keep going if you want. That's the cool thing about a Yearflix. They're quick, they're awesome, and they're just as impactful. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insured. Whoa, what are you making fun of?
Nothing.
I saw it. I felt it.
No.
I guess the sleeves.
No, not at all. See, you're so defensive. What's got
saw you doing this.
What's got you so defensive in this office?
Because this office loves to pick on people.
No, let's have a therapy session,
you
JB.
know, if you would put your training into action, you could stop all that pretty quick.
No, let's have a therapy session because you're saying this office, but who specifically?
It starts at the top, okay?
No doubt.
But it trickles. There are snaps, there are texts, there are little chattering when people walk around, and then there's little looks.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah. Slow it down, Fast Break Dave. Slow it down.
Fast Break Dave?
You guys know that story, right? You know the story.
I know the story.
Hey,
it's
JB.
just because they like you.
No, I want to hear about
I'm going to tell you, but hello, JB. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Great.
Thanks for having me in.
So back in 2002, I'm working for the Dallas Mavericks, and Chris Arnold used to do the in-arena interviews and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He got sick during the Western Conference Finals, okay? And they needed somebody to interview the celebrities, whatever, and do some sponsor stuff in the thing. So in the arena. So they say, David, you have a journalism background. Can you do it? Because I wasn't doing TV at the time. I was just up and coming. And yeah, I can do it. They go, but nobody knows who the hell you are, so we need to give you a nickname. And the nickname was Fast Break Dave.
I like it.
And there's a photo that Billy has found, and yeah,
course.
it says Fast Break Dave with me and my big messy hair.
It's like a screenshot or a picture of the Jumbotron at the American Airlines Arena, and
With
his
me
lower
talking.
Third says Fast Break Dave. He is Fast Break Dave Nuño in my phone.
We need to get you a label for your desk upstairs.
That's
Fast
fine.
Break Dave.
Hey, who does the labels?
I'll spend $20 on you.
Okay, thank you.
I can afford it.
And I have a lot more nicknames. Billy calls me Yoda.
Well, yeah, we know about all those.
Yeah. So, JB, how was last night?
It was great, man. It was a pretty impressive atmosphere given the 2-hour delay and finishing the game at close to midnight.
I thought it was like that last inning.
Yes.
I thought it sounded like Kyle. Like when A&M's on defense at Kyle Field, and Will McIntyre could not hear the pitch comm.
And with every single pitch to Burton, it got louder and louder and louder. And that's a credit to the fans and the 12th man. And Jim Schlossnagle spoke about it post-game. He's like, this fan base knows what's going on in game and knows when to stand up and get on their feet and start making some noise. It's not always the case everywhere you go.
Bronny, I'd say they had a direct impact in McIntyre not finding the zone. Would you agree?
Yeah, and it started with his first warm-up pitch that went to the backstop.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that got everybody going because, dude, at that point it's 11:30 at night.
Everybody wants to go home.
And we've set through rain delays, and there was a time when there was a little bit of a lull with the crowd because it was getting. I even put it in the game thread. I was like, it just, it's getting late, and people have been here a long time, and there's just A&M's not doing much offensively, so I think the crowd saw this as an opportunity. You had the leadoff walk to Gavin, and then Jace. Or the one out walk, and then Jace gets the base hit, and it's first to third. Then everybody's like, all right, it has to happen right here. If A&M doesn't score in the 11th, I don't know how long that thing's going to go, but it felt like all the momentum would have gone back to Arkansas.
I mean, absolutely there was a reason for them to sit on their hands. A&M didn't have a leadoff man on base at all
the whole game.
any point in the game.
Arkansas didn't surrender a walk to the 11th.
I know. Can you believe that?
That's
It's
crazy,
man.
Could you see his body language and tell, okay, beyond the warm-up pitch?
Who are we talking about? McIntyre?
Yeah, McIntyre.
Yeah, I felt like I could see that with a few guys on their staff. And Bronny was mentioning, I saw a few guys with their glove over their pitch comm because they just couldn't hear the pitches that were coming in. But, listen, I think the 12th man 100% affected the outcome of last night. And what's more exciting is tonight's going to be awesome. The weather's not going to be an issue. Hopefully the wind's not howling in tonight, and it's going to be an electric atmosphere over there tonight.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking when it was raining like it was early yesterday evening, and going, okay, what would you rather do? If you're from an A&M perspective, whether it's Jim Schlossnagle or Section 203, would you rather Hagen Smith pitch at night last night, or because I think they were going to do a day-night doubleheader had they played today.
They were.
I think it was going to be like an 11 o'clock start on a Friday. Do you want Hagen Smith pitching then?
Right.
To give you the best competitive advantage. And now what do we know about Hagen Smith? We'll get more into him. I don't know that it matters when that guy pitches. But
unbelievable.
You wondered about the rain, and just because of how it swept through the state, Houston got just blown. I know, like it was bad in Houston, and so I'm sure that prevented a lot of people from making the drive up to College Station. I'm sure it kept a lot of people locally at home, and so I'm going, okay, if they get 3,000 or 4,000 in here, I'll be really impressed. Well, they got almost 7, and it was rowdy. So it's so cool to see the fan base. We talked about it so much this year, David, latch onto this team. And even the last 2 weeks with the struggles on the road, it's like they're welcoming them back in. Like, hey, we got your back. You haven't played well. We got your back. Let's get this thing turned around and get this thing headed in the right direction for the postseason.
Did it feel, and this is how I started the show, like everything was there for Arkansas? It was an Arkansas played game. The weather plays a role. It's blowing in. It's a pitcher's duel. We strike out 20 times in the game. To win that game, to me, JB, like that says something.
Yeah, it does. And listen, if you're going to win it all, you're going to have to win in multiple facets. I think Bronny and Richard talk about it all the time, but you're not going to outslug everybody in this league. You're just not. The pitching talent and the depth is too good. And, for them to find a way to win 1-0, I'm not sure what was more surprising, Scotty Scheffler getting arrested this morning or A&M winning on a walk-off walk last night. But I just –
what a photo there.
Isn't that great?
That's great.
Some personality in that photo, huh?
Well, that's 2 old guys that have, one comes from Michigan, one comes from Columbia, and they found a home in College Station. And it's been such a story for these Jim Schlossnagle rosters about the transfers and how in one season these guys are doing such a great job of endearing themselves to the fan base. Like, Teddy Burton, much less outspoken than Hayden Schott, but like Hayden Schott will come around here. He can come around here for as long as he wants, and everybody's going to know who he is.
I mean, what's your thoughts on the hit rate of Jim Schlossnagle in the portal? I mean, has he missed on one?
Position player? No. I mean, there's been some pitchers that you go, okay, maybe missed, but position players? No. It's a credit to him. It's a credit to Nolan Kane and the background research that he does.
Evaluating talent,
to go evaluate, and then you get them to campus, and then – David, how many times have I talked about it? It's not only that they get these guys here, their numbers improve. Even with Braden Montgomery struggling the way he is right now, his numbers are still better than they've ever been.
Yep.
And everybody worries about, they're coming from an Ivy. He's coming from the Pac-12. You're coming from UTSA and Conference USA. How can they adjust to the SEC? Well, what did Dylan Rock's numbers do? What have Braden Montgomery's numbers done? Appel and Schott. It doesn't matter where they're bringing these guys in from. They're all getting better when they get here. Yep. And that is a huge feather to put in their hat when they go into the portal this year.
It makes it that much easier to get the next guy.
Yep.
JB, talk to us about what you saw from Ryan Prager, what we've seen all season long. I mean, the 10 shutouts as a staff this year, it ties a record, but just from him specifically.
Yeah, I asked Ryan Prager last night in the postgame interview, I said, hey, was there any extra motivation? Because I felt like the story around town, around the country all week was about Arkansas and about Hagen Smith. Deservedly so. That kid is unbelievably impressive. We'll get into him in a bit. But what Ryan Prager has done not only last night but all season is just their mantra is dominate the zone, right? And it takes an alpha male to pitch on Friday night in this conference. And he's just like, hey, guys, I'm going to stand for what we're about, and you guys just follow me. I mean, he had 1 walk in 7 innings with 9 Ks, and I feel like majority of the time, especially in the free base category, that's what we see from Ryan Prager. He's doing exactly what the staff is asking him to do. He's giving his defense a chance by putting the ball over the plate, and he did more of that last night, and he was just phenomenal going blow for blow with what I think should be the first college pitcher drafted.
And it started from the outset, right? In so much of the buildup, we're talking about how great Hagen Smith is, and like you said, rightfully so. He lived up to the billing yesterday, 1,000%. Top of the first inning, Ryan Prager. Strikeout. Strikes out the side in order on 13 pitches, basically announcing, hey, I'm here. Yeah. And what he did last night, it just showed why this game is so wonderful, because you can throw close to 100 miles an hour with a devastating slider like Hagen Smith, and he's going to be a first-round draft pick. But you can also push and pull the throttle with a low 90 or a low 90s, high 80s fastball with a changeup and a slider like Prager, and still be just as effective, if not more so. Ryan Prager and what he has done for this ball club has been insane. He is amazing at home. I want to go. I mean, I need somebody to help me with the home and road splits, but I think the ERA at home is sub-1, something like that. He's just been brilliant. I can't say enough great things about him.
All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, I got to do bank on it. I want you guys to bank on something this weekend, all right? So everybody involved. Right now, Milliken Reserve time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature, and they've done that by just making sure that you see the land, feel the land, and be a part of the land there. Dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community. 2,600 acres of open space, 30 miles of trails. They got beautiful homes out there as well. They want to connect families to nature. They want to connect you to each other while being in nature with an extensive network of trails throughout that beautiful wooded landscape that has all the walking paths you can imagine, equestrian paths, creeks, ponds, gathering areas, a place for families to cherish generation after generation, committed to maintaining and restoring that beautiful natural habitat. You can go hiking there, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, summer camps, fishing, music festivals, farmer markets, and farm tours. And the homes out there are beautiful. You got the creek on 10-plus acre wooded estates. You've got the hollow in a private gated community, and you've got the meadows that are responsive to their natural surroundings. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. We're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Time to bank on it, presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com. And who's going to go first? JB, you're the guest. Why don't you go first? What's something you can bank on this weekend?
I think I'm going to bank on the middle third of this order for the next 2 games of this series. They were 0 for 12 last night. Everyone talks about the three-headed monster at the top. I truly believe this team's going to go as far as that middle third of their order allows them to, and I feel good about them moving forward.
Right?
I think one of the sidearm right-handers is going to play a big role to either tonight or tomorrow. I don't know which one it is, but A&M, they just went 11 shutout innings with guys that throw the ball 88 to 92 miles an hour from the left side. The completely different look from that is those submarine right-handers. They're going to throw Lampkin today. That's another left-hander that's going to be in the same, velocity. They're going to throw Sadeo tomorrow. That's, he bumps it a little bit more in terms of the velocity, and it comes at you a little bit differently. But I just think Brad Rudis and Brock Perry are so different. I think that they could present, and I'm not saying they're going to throw 4 innings of shutout ball like Evan Oschenbeck did, but they could come in some tight spots and get you out of innings to maybe then hand the ball to a Chris Cortez on the back end of the bullpen or a Josh Stewart. So I just think one of those submarine sidearm righties is going to play a big role.
Richard?
I got 3 things. 1, this will not be my only caffeinated beverage of the day. I'll stick with it. 2, there's a nap in my future. And 3, Braden Montgomery's going to break out tonight. Tonight.
Dinger?
Yeah.
All right.
He took the middle third of the order. My specific one was Hayden Schott. Yeah. I actually liked his at-bats last night. I thought he made some good swings at Hayden Smith. He took some tough pitches. Yeah. And I've said this before, much like Teddy Burton before he went on that run of homers, there's more juice in there for Hayden Schott.
No, there is for sure. It's funny you bring that up. I thought that pre-pitch, that at-bat, all the at-bats against Hagen Smith for Hayden Schott looked very awkward, right? That just does not look like a fun left-on-left matchup.
Oh, brutal.
Hagen does a really nice job of hiding the baseball. Not that he needs any help throwing 100 miles an hour, but I thought Hayden Schott had great at-bats last night and stuck his nose in there for sure.
I'm saying Justin Lampkin's going to go 5 innings and strike out 6. That's what I'm banking on.
Well, and if he does that,
that's big for A&M moving forward.
Yeah, it would be huge. It'd be huge for A&M. Here's what I'd love to see this, JB. I don't care what it looks like. If it's 1-0 in 11 innings again tonight and A&M wins, that way you're going into the final day of the regular season with a title on the line. Now, how cool would that be?
Yeah, you literally can't ask for more than that.
Right.
Here's a question for you, JB, from your Talus. Do you enjoy watching pitchers duel or slugfest? And part 2, would a sweep help with any recruiting outside of just Arkansas commits?
To answer your first question, I'm an offensive player, so I like a slugfest. I like homers, I like bubbles, and I like the energy at Bluebell Park when there's runs scored. So I'll take the slugfest. And baseball's Barney can speak to this, but baseball's a little different than football. You're not really stealing recruits from kids that are committed to other programs. That's kind of a unwritten no rule in college baseball. If a kid's committed somewhere, unless you hear through the grapevine that they're unhappy and they want out of that situation, you're pretty much going to leave them alone. But look, A&M's not going to need any help in recruiting. What they've done since Slosh & Co. has been here has been awesome. And if we can get some funding and bring this new ballpark to life, they're not going to need any help in recruiting.
I agree. I mean, he's right about baseball recruiting. It's changed a little bit now. You do see some decommitments, but that's more so because of coaching changes. And A&M have capitalized on that. Gavin Grahovic was once committed to Arizona State. Jay Slavolette was once committed to LSU. Jack Bell once committed to Arizona State. They've just gotten some commitments in the class of 2025. Some of the best players and the top available players in the country that at one point were committed to other places, and due to either assistant or head coaching moves, they backed away and opened up their recruitment. So yeah, I don't think recruiting is ever going to be a problem here with Jim Schlossnagle and Nolan Kane on staff. And that's not I'm not trying to discredit Max Wiener or Michael Early in terms of their recruiting chops. There's just nobody better. I'm convinced there's nobody better in college baseball at acquiring talent than Nolan Kane.
45 seconds left. Who other than Lampkin tonight needs to be dealing from the mound?
Chris Cortez. Yeah. He's going to be the first one out of the bullpen, depending on the score.
Or one of the sidearmers that Bronny said. I mean, you're going to see Brad Rudis or Peary or both of them tonight.
I thought the best swings Arkansas had last night were on left-handed breaking balls. What does that mean? I think right-handed breaking balls, whether they're from a sidearm slot or the cutter slider sweeper combo of Josh Stewart, I could see that being effective.
Did we just go 2 segments without saying the name Evan Aschenbeck?
I think we said it, didn't we?
I don't know. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep. So.
Well, JB, thank you, buddy.
You got
Appreciate you. All right, when we come back on TexAgs Radio, the baseball bunch, Scotty Clendenin will be here with us. More of that, more of your phone calls, text messages. We'll see you in a bit. It's TexAgs Radio.
This looks awkward. This is no, it's not. This is awesome. I like it.
3 straight rap songs, by the way. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. We're doing it feels weird being here. We're doing the baseball bunch here on the program. JB Moss sticking around, Scott Clendenin with us, Ryan Brauninger, Richard Zane. Scotty, let's start off with you. How was the experience last night?
Great. always enjoyed games that are that tight as much as blowouts. It wasn't too hard to go back and find the last 3 1-0 games. JB Moss, in a game that is completely overshadowed, scored the only run in the last 9 inning or more win in a 1-0 game for the Aggies.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, you don't
I
know.
had no idea.
2 days before Kyle Simon's no-hitter. First game of that
Game 1
Vandy.
of Vandy?
Game 1 Vandy scored in the first inning.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were just
you
talking
reached
about
on an error at third base.
Oh, well, that's not as cool. You could have left that part out.
No, because you came all the way around to score.
Yeah.
And then the last time it happened was in Houston. A&M beat TCU.
That's right.
On a bases-loaded walk.
Yeah,
Single,
you're
3
talking
straight
about
walks.
Reaching on an error to win the game. You think Gavin Grohovic cares? He
No,
reached
of course
on a
not.
walk. No one cares.
Of course
no one
not.
cares. So,
the
but
game.
anyway, it's kind of crazy that I love those games. So it was amazing. Got to see the talent of pitching staffs. But I like the fact that y'all are talking about, and I'll jump right in. Y'all did mention Evan Aschenbeck. Okay, his last 4 pitches, including the one that Sorrells made the great catch on, were all under 80 miles an hour. 79, 78, 78, and 77. You don't have to throw 100 mile an hour to win games and get people out. And I thought that was awesome, too.
And I don't understand why the fan base or people want to complain about using him or not using him. He's in his 3rd inning of work, in the 10th inning, right? They get that 1-out error that Teddy boots, and then he immediately gives up a single. They've got him cornered. And everybody is whining. They want him out of the game. It makes absolutely no sense. Nobody on A&M's pitching staff, and you saw it with Arkansas in the 11th with McIntyre, I don't think anybody in the ballpark had a slower heart rate than that man. And he gets back-to-back punch-outs to send the game scoreless to the bottom of the 10th. Evan Aschenbeck, keep him in the game. If you have a chance to win, keep him in.
I couldn't agree more, Bronny. I'm interested to hear your take on this, but it's your best pitcher you have, right? It's the best pitcher on the staff, and we talk about it all the time. Every day is the most important day. Every day is opening day. But yesterday, in my opinion, was the single most important win of the season. In my opinion, it locked up a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament. In my opinion, it locked up a top 8 national seed.
Yeah, it hasn't technically locked up the double bye yet.
Okay.
Georgia can sweep Florida, and if A&M drops the next 2, Georgia would be the 4 seed. But I think it did lock up a top 8 national seed. The Aggies go back to number 1 in the RPI. That's massive with 2 days left of the season. But, I mean, when you're talking, just in my time of covering A&M baseball, in relievers, to me, the best 2 I've ever seen are Evan Aschenbeck and Andrew Vinson.
I agree, 100%.
And they do it with the same kind of guile and what's the radio word? Backbone, spine. There's a different word we can use. But it's just gritty, toughness, attack mode all the time. And neither one of them threw the ball. I mean, how
Over
hard did Vinny Hart
87 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's ultra competitive, and you don't want anybody else with the ball. So, yeah, I'll take my chances in the most important or one of the most important games of the season in a 1st and 3rd scenario in the 11th inning and 1 out with Evan Aschenbeck on the mound.
You ask anyone on that 2016 team, we had 13 players drafted. We had big leaguers running all over the place. We had 100-mile-an-hour arms. You ask every single guy on that team 3 outs to get to Omaha, who's on the mound? Andrew Vinson.
Yep.
Andrew Vinson got that win in that 1-0 game right there.
Not surprised either.
And Bronny loves when I do this. Andrew Vinson, Flower Mound High School. best Flower Mound Jaguar ever.
So, guys, is there a scenario out there that Evan pitches again this weekend or no?
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Saturday. He threw 45 pitches.
46.
Yeah, so he won't pitch tonight unless he comes to you and it's late in the game and you're going, here's Peyton Holt, a lefty-lefty matchup, and Evan's going, I can get him.
Yep.
I feel good enough, I can get him. Then you go to him. But I can't imagine outside of that he's going to throw tonight.
I think that you better take his glove and hide it somewhere, or make sure he doesn't have a uniform under his hoodie. He's going to want the ball, which is just as important as him throwing on game 3, as he wants the ball today. He wants the ball tomorrow. That's that closer mentality that I'm here for this team, and his stuff is going to be good tomorrow. It'll be very good tomorrow. It would be good today, but I think that it's only tomorrow.
A question from the YouTube chat from TNT Trade says, is it time to mess with the order of our batting lineup with the emergence of Appel as our best at the moment?
No.
I would
Next
say
question.
No.
No.
I don't know if you need caffeine now.
Are you kidding? What is this?
No, I don't. Man, you have to look at the totality of the season. These guys, all of a sudden, Braden Montgomery he's pressing at the plate. There's no question.
He is. A few of them are. You can see it.
Yeah, and Braden is going to get picked probably in the top 5 regardless. If he goes 20 for his next 20 or 0 for his next 20, I don't think it's going to change his draft stock.
I agree.
He is a sensational player. But the competitive part of a baseball player as good as Braden Montgomery, and I think there's some guys that we've seen go through this in the last couple of weeks, they're competitive. They want to get hits.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing out of Braden Montgomery right now is he's swinging all the time because he wants to get hits. And I would imagine, I haven't asked Braden this is the most he's ever struggled in his baseball life. And he's still hitting over 300 with 23 home runs. It's going to take is for him to see the ball, leave the bat, whether it be in a big spot or not, and go through and find some green grass, and he goes, okay.
And then he goes,
yes.
And then it all goes away.
Right.
And listen, this is kind of unspoken. Not a lot of guys like to talk about this, but what are we, middle of May? The draft is on their mind. It's just a thing. He's a high-profile player, and the added pressure of whether it's wanting to be the first pick or whether it's just trying to get drafted, it's in the back of your mind. It just is, and it's unfortunate. And some guys handle it better than others. I'm not saying that in this particular case with Braden that's the problem or the issue, but I'm just saying there's a lot that you're trying to win an SEC championship, you're trying to lock up a national seed. Well, what about the draft? There's just all these external factors that are going on in your mind, and I guarantee you Mike Early is meeting with the guys before and after the game just saying, hey, let's do our best just to forget all that, right? Take the balls, hammer the strikes. That's how we got here. Let's get back to that. And like you said, I was talking to Bronny outside before we came on, and he's like, hey, I got a hard time, judging where this team is at mentally, offensively after, facing Hagen Smith, because it's just that seems kind of unfair.
Yeah.
But, I certainly hope they find their way here pretty soon.
You just put Teddy Burton back in his spot. What was the lineup with talented guys when everybody moved up one? You just rebuilt your lineup by inserting the guy who got the game-winning walk last night. So
they had a massive swing at Ole Miss in that Sunday game.
Exactly. You're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
No,
you're going to let this lineup be what it is and get everybody back in their spots and have some balls fall.
And by the way, the guy running the show over there has over 900 college baseball wins.
That's 900 more than us.
Right, exactly. And he's seen it all. He's done it all. He's got one of the things that Schloss is elite at. And I don't always give our posters on the board credit, but they said something late in the game thread last night. It was that game was the 2015-2016 regional against TCU.
Yeah.
But A&M comes out on the right side of it. Schloss knows how to press the buttons in those games. He never panicked. Not once did he ever panic. Did you ever see A&M do anything outside of what they normally would do to win a game?
No.
Right?
No. Panicking would have been, like we said, taking Ashton Beck out with 1 out in the 10.
Right. What did you see? And Dave Van Horn's a sensational, one of the top 5 coaches in the country, without question.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering why he intentionally walked Jackson Appel. Now, they're bringing in Will McIntyre. You certainly ain't going to bet on him walking somebody. I mean, he's their version of Evan Aschenbeck. He's a 5th-year player that can still come back for a 6th year. His numbers have been really good. He doesn't walk people. He gave A&M absolute fits last year. I mean, he diced A&M last year. And you're not betting on him coming in and walking a guy. That's the last thing in your mind when you bring him out of the bullpen. But you had a 2nd and 3rd scenario with Appel at the plate, and when you put him on via an intentional walk, you have eliminated any kind of leeway if McIntyre comes in and doesn't have any feel for the baseball, which is what we saw last night.
And you brought 7,000 fans into the game at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
being right behind JB and Brawny last night, couldn't hear them talking before the last pitch of the game, and we're right there. We're right there in their back pocket.
It was loud. That was very loud at Olsen Field.
Okay, and it's going to be even better tonight because everybody's going to be here, and he didn't do wrong. Van Horn managed it like baseball's managed today, playing matchups. Going righty lefty. I'm going to bring guys in because I have quality guys. He doesn't think that anybody he brings out of the bullpen with these names that came in that they're not going to perform the job that I'm putting them out there.
I kept looking at the stat line last night. Every guy that came in there, I mean, I highlighted these guys and brought it in the studio with me. The ERAs of the guys that they rolled out of the pen last night, I was like, it was giving me. I was telling Brawny and Richard before we came on, and Scott, you'll appreciate this. It was giving me shades of 2016 Florida Gators. Let me rattle off some names for you. Dane Dunning, Logan Shore, A.J. Puck, Alex Fado, Sean Anderson, Scott Moss, Jackson Kowar, Brady Singer. That's 8 major league pitchers
now
on the same staff.
Players.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They also had Pete Alonso, Jonathan India, Buddy Reed, and J.J. Schwartz. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this Arkansas team is that Florida team because they are not by far. But what I am saying is that pitching-wise, they might be pretty close.
And Schlossnagle still says it was Faedo that kept us from winning a national championship at TCU because of that team right there.
I mean, obviously Hagen Smith stole the show for me. If you're asking me to name the best pitchers I've ever seen in college baseball from either my time playing or covering it, watching it with my own eyes that I've ever seen in person, Paul Skeen and Hagen Smith are the top 2 without question. Then I would draw a line and I would get to guys like Alex Faedo and Brady Singer and Aaron Nola. Like, those would be in my top 5, but there's a clear line of delineation after Skeens and Hagen Smith after what we saw last night. But when they brought in Gabe Gackle, dude, that kid –
is he a freshman?
He's a freshman.
That's crazy.
He's going to end up being their Friday night guy next year.
Yeah.
And it's free and easy, 97 to 100 with a wipeout slider, and he was throwing 87 to 90-mile-an-hour changeups.
Because we talked about the guy who's got 900-plus college baseball victories, he said last night that Hagen Smith is right there with the guys like Skeens and Pryor and Strasburg, the guys he's seen in 35 years of college baseball, and he said he has never seen a left-handed starting pitcher with that kind of arm. That just highlights how good Hagen Smith truly is, and he put it all on display last night.
I don't know. Like, people were getting upset in the game thread, and maybe if you were watching the game, you're getting upset. Like, why is A&M taking so many strikes? Dude, you do not hit that.
They got him out in the 6th inning.
But that was so I did talk to an Arkansas writer who has followed this team, like kind of one of their beat guys. He said that Van Horn has been very, very careful about extending him for one extra inning because his philosophy is I'll give up an inning in April and May for those innings in June. And that's a pretty good way to think, right?
Yeah.
From a team perspective. So I think that he could have run Hagen Smith out there for another inning. But with this bullpen, like you mentioned, Scotty, like you really don't need to stretch a guy if you don't have to.
No, because this is, you're still playing by the non-MLB, got to face 3 hitters rules. And we saw in Major League Baseball right before they changed that you would play matchups and the offense had no chance. Because they were going
pitchers every batter.
Yeah, they were going, okay, here's my matchup, here's my guy. And if you had that in your bullpen like Arkansas does, that's how you're going to manage the game. Now, I mean, I'm going to go back a long time, okay? Trey Moore versus Ryan Chose in Austin, a 2-1 game where Chose punched out 16. Seen that kind of stuff before. He didn't have the end of his career like it is. Trey Moore beating Aaron Lineweaver when he had a start on Friday in Waco when Jeff Granger couldn't go, was sick. And they bumped Trey Moore up one day and won a 1-0 game in Waco for 2 teams that are battling to go to the College World Series. It's a special night. You remember those nights because of the talent and the effort that those pitchers did. And you've got all those guys are going to look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, Bronny, you're going to say, that's a great performance, but I remember Hagen Smith that night. I remember what the 13 punch-outs that Skeens did after a rough first inning, the year before. It's unfortunate for Smith that he's the year after Skeens. Any more separation, And you would be looking at this like, man, this kind of season just doesn't come around. But it's like you're comparing right to last year.
His numbers are better than
His
Paul
numbers
Skeens.
are better.
I'm telling you
and
guys.
they're not, but they are not extending him like they did Skeens, because Arkansas is a better team than LSU was with the guys that are in the pitching staff.
I agree with that. I think this year's Arkansas pitching staff much better than last year's national champion LSU pitching staff.
As far as the staff, for sure. Now, position player wise, I think LSU runs circles around Arkansas.
Not even close.
But what is it in particular that makes Hagen Smith so good? Like, is there?
Well, for starters,
he looks like the Hulk.
He's 6'3", 220, and he throws 100 miles an hour from the left side. And I was mentioned it earlier, Bronny, and you're way better at going into detail about stuff like this. But from my vantage point last night, it looks like he hides the ball behind his back. Right? He does. He's on the far right side of the rubber. He hides the ball behind his back, and it just looks like a very uncomfortable arm slot. And it looks like that 100 miles an hour just gets on you. I mean, obviously in a hurry, but this looks very uncomfortable.
I think it's because he's not reaching back to go get it, right? Like, it's a pretty compact arm swing. He does hide the ball. He lifts it with his elbow. Like, you don't see wrist come up first. He pulls the ball out with his elbow, so it's a shorter arm swing. And it's almost like it's boom, it's over with, and it's 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see this big, massive windup and leg kick, and like he's reaching back, putting the ball in his back pocket to go get some. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is just efficient. It's strong. And then when the slider is working,
when it's on, it's game over. It's
devastating.
Yeah, it's game over.
And like, people go, why is A&M swinging at the slider? What do you
they
want,
just
dude?
they don't understand.
Well,
like, I'll tell you this: the difference, and Bronny can speak to this. The difference between 90 and 95 is it's there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The difference from 95 to 100, it's hard to explain, but it's light years different.
If you feel the baseball.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we didn't get to see Asa Lacy progress into this. I mean, this is the kind of season Lacy was going to set up in 2020, was this kind of performance, building on it with the high strikeout, and because he had gotten he'd finally gotten himself under control. And I sat there and last night talked to the great left-handers that have been here with the velocity guys, and I'm sitting there and said, this is what I would have liked to have seen in May from Asa Lacy that we were cheated.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about last night is any baseball novice can watch and look at Hagen Smith and going, holy crap, like, big, throws hard. And on the flip side, you're watching Ryan Prager do it in a completely different manner, but deserves every bit of the credit that we're heaping upon Hagen Smith. Ryan Prager deserves at least that.
It's exactly what Richard was talking about earlier.
Without a doubt, an SEC ace. He is all SEC. He is all American.
I think he's going to be a first-team all SEC player.
He is an ace, period.
All right, and let's get into him in the next segment. Let's go deeper into Ryan Prager. And I got a question about Jackson Appel as well. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back, more with the Baseball Bunch here on TexAgs Radio, here from the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Right now, we're talking a Little Rollo Insurance. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you, so you can accomplish your insurance goals. And the insurance goals are to protect your family, to make sure your family's in a good spot, but also beyond that, to make sure that you're not overpaying for things, right? They're going to help you throughout the entire process. They're right here in the Brazos Valley. They're in Nation. That's where you find their headquarters, right there on Highway 6. You see them all around town. The beauty of dealing with Rollo Insurance is, they love A&M, they love A&M athletics, but they love this community, and that's why you can see them around town. You can ask the questions. They're going to be there for you and make sure that they put you in the right insurance situation for you. The phone number is 888-44-ROLLO. Again, that number is 888-44-ROLLO. 53 offices in the great state of Texas. Follow them online at rolloinsurance.com. That is rolloinsurance.com, 888-44-ROLLO. And on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Baseball Bunch guys with us. Hey, a quick note, guys, not a baseball note, but Scotty Scheffler's about to birdie his first hole. So I just saw a tweet about that. He's a few feet away from birdieing the first hole.
This is one of the most insane sports stories.
I'm like, look.
He's going to go on and win this tournament.
I heard you this morning, Nuño, and I'm not going to get political, and I'm not going to, we don't know all the details, but it's just kind of crazy to me how we have, riots and all kinds of stuff going on our streets with no arrest, but a guy's trying to get to his tee time. And look, I know there's more to the story, but that story this morning was bizarre.
The report's out. You can read it. I'll send it to you. It's pretty. I mean, if this is true, Scotty should have been arrested.
Wow.
He should. So there's more details out now, Richard.
A little bit. It sounds like a cop, taking a little bit of a power trip, but Scotty reacted in a way that probably wasn't great. And oh well.
I wonder if he pulled the.
Do you know who I am?
No, yes.
But I'm Ozuna from the Braves.
Yes, Ozuna. Yeah, my boy AJ's teammate. That was a tough video that came out, man.
Yeah. All right, Ryan Prager. Let's get back on track with him. And one of the points that I think Richard was the one who asked Schloss about just matching the moment, guys. Just talk about matching the moment, but also what he's been able to do all season long.
Ryan Prager is the first Texas A&M pitcher to reach 100 strikeouts in a season since Dustin Signs did it in 2021. Signs got to 103. Prager's already at 104. He's been consistent all year long. This is who Ryan Prager is, especially when he pitches in this ballpark. And, I mean, the fact that he was able to step up and meet the moment shouldn't surprise anybody.
It takes more than just obviously that takes a huge amount of mental disposition and mental toughness to match the moment, but that's not going to get you by. You have to have it. It's a prerequisite for you to be competitive in an atmosphere like last night against a pitcher like Hagen Smith, but you also have to have stuff to match it. And so the repertoire of what he's throwing, the actual physical repertoire of what he's doing is taken a massive jump under Max Weiner. And for this pitching staff to blow by the school record in walks a season ago to now having double-digit shutouts in a season, that's an insane turnaround. And Ryan Prager has led the line of this complete 180-degree flip. The addition of that split change to his arsenal, he went to it so many times late in counts last night, full counts, 3-1 counts. No fear to throw that with a potential walk. If I miss with it, it's a walk. They don't care about pitch names. They care about pitch shapes and throwing it into the strike zone. Prager is the perfect, you want to talk about the change in a pitching staff, in this pitching staff within a year. Ryan Prager is the example. Just go, somebody asks you, well, how's it changed? Well, just go look at Ryan Prager.
Yeah.
That's the best example.
Well said.
Well, and I think that speaking to being a Friday night guy in the SEC, when you know the guy across from you is going to pitch at a level that any mistake you make can cost you that tight, hard-fought game.
Yep.
And what Aschenbeck did was they didn't let the surroundings, they didn't let the numbers on the scoreboard change anything they did. And that's to them being older, seasoned guys who trust their stuff and trust every pitch call that comes to them. And that's why I know Arkansas is going to make an adjustment, but you're going to have two other left-handed starters that walk to the mound the next 2 days are going to go, we've got a pretty good plan. We got a pretty good idea what I need to do to have success against this Arkansas offense. And the adjustments and all that kind of stuff are going to be there, but the plan is good. When your first guy goes out and executes it like this, and you fall in with two more left-handers, or you started a righty and you fall with two more right-handers, you believe your plan. And that's a great job by this staff. And the question I had on Max Weiner was not teaching. It was competing and calling a ball game. And he has been A+ this year.
And to stick with Prager and wrap it up, well, I think we all know the nickname that I've given him throughout the year, and I'll stick with, for my money, a little story about perhaps the best left-handed pitcher of all time. Back in the 60s, the Dodgers were not good offensively, and they would say, Koufax would go in the clubhouse and say, just give me one today, boys, just one. It felt like throughout the 90-minute rain delay, whatever, Hagen Smith could have been in that visiting clubhouse and telling them, just give me one. And that's all it would have taken for Arkansas to win the game, clinch the SEC West title, but they couldn't get one. They couldn't scratch across one, and that is a testament to how good Ryan Prager was last night and has been all year.
And I think, too, whenever you do a complete analysis of last night's game, Prager's a massive storyline, and so is Aschenbeck. But don't get it twisted. The outfield defense last night was sensationally good by Texas A&M. And there were people, whether it be locally or in the national media, and I got a couple of texts about it from guys around the league, media members, can Jace Lavalette play center field? Holy crap.
It's a question I asked.
Holy crap, dude.
I tell you what, he ran down a few balls last night, and it was fun to watch. The hardest ball, as an outfielder, the hardest ball to judge is the one right at you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the inning. I don't remember who was hitting, but there was a ball. Jace took 2 steps in and then ran straight back and ended up catching the ball right at the warning track. And watching that big man go, like, he can play major league center field. I was like, I didn't know coming into this year. I was like, well, he can do this in college. He can do this at the big league level. Watching him run and track down fly balls, he's pretty good at it.
The run to the gap was not a long stride. That was picking him up and putting him down. He did not long stride to that one to the gap when he was going towards left.
Snowball, yeah.
Yes,
that he missed.
No, the one that he caught one, he missed one.
Yeah, but I'm saying
McLaughlin double in the 11th.
Yes.
He almost had that.
Yes, but I'm
That's
saying
insane.
his steps. It was speed. It wasn't, hey, I'm a big guy and I'm going to cover it. That was like a small sprinter. A Cray Bratson running in center field to get there as fast as you can because you're picking them up and putting them down. That was as athletic a thing as I have seen him do. It was amazing to me because I expect him to long stride it. And that's based on the read and the jump. No, this was full speed. I can sprint like this.
And speaking of athleticism, the stuff we've seen Caden Sorrell do in left field, I mean, game-saving catches, incredible catches up against the wall. He goes to his right. He goes to his left. We've seen him jump over fences multiple times. The play at South Carolina. That one last night, here's why it was so incredible. Obviously, the moment in the game makes it a big deal. But let's not forget, he had come up to the plate in the previous inning with a chance to win the game, and he was facing a matchup lefty in Stone Hewlett, who the biggest, boldest thing on the scouting report says it's going to be a slider. He throws it. The metrics on it are crazy for left-handers. So Caden goes in the box. I know I'm getting slider, and Schlossnagle talked about it after the game. Is like, he's still a young kid. Like, he's super good, and he's going to have a great career here. But he's still, like, I know slider's coming. I have to swing at it. What he should have been doing is taking a mental image of the shape of the pitch and learning, like Teddy did in that bat against Will McIntyre. But he's so aggressive. I want to win the game. I know a slider's coming. Let me swing at it. And he taps it back to the pitcher and doesn't get out of the box, and he's shaken up. And you have got to, and this is what the game of baseball that you probably doesn't teach you from at a youth level, at a high school level, is you better dump it. Whatever just happened at the plate, you better dump it, because if he's got his dauber down in left field, when that ball's hit, he's not catching it.
Nope.
And Arkansas takes a 1-0 lead, and then who knows what happens.
You're exactly right.
But I thought that play, we obviously know what kind of defender he is in the outfield. I think he should be a first-team All-SEC defensive player in left field. I really think that. I think he'll be a freshman All-American. But to me, that showed much more about what Caden Sorrell is growing into in terms of the mental fortitude to be an elite baseball player in this league.
I think he's got the 2 best catches by an A&M left fielder since number 11.
Yeah.
Against Mississippi State.
That was cool, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Appreciate it.
You're so humble. I mean, and it's like the thing last night.
I'm tired of talking about you.
Yeah. you make it real easy when we look back at the things you did and the things your team did. And I think that's one of the things, right now, the expectation, and I talked about this not even a month ago, that this team could have been a team that got to the SEC tournament with single-digit losses. Didn't happen. but it didn't change how I thought about this team. Tom Hart asked me what I thought about it. The expectation level, you're going to Ole Miss and you're going to LSU and you don't win a series, wherever they are in the standings, whatever they're playing with their backs against the wall the last couple weeks.
It's the past two national champions. I mean, these guys are super talented rosters.
And you still salvage the one game, the most important game. The reason why the next two nights matter against Arkansas is because you didn't lose game 3. And I just think that this team has created expectations. They've met them time after time after time, and they did it again last night. And the expectations for this team are sky high. And I don't have any doubt that they can go as far as their talent level can take them, and that's being one of the last 3 or 4 teams standing in this season.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. I want to talk Justin Lampkin on the other side. We're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet. I can guarantee you that Scotty Scheffler was not driving a vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. But when you're looking for a vehicle here in the Brazos Valley, that's where you need to go because they have great deals, they got great people, and it's just an easy process. When you're looking for something new, when you're looking to expand, when you're looking for a smaller vehicle, whatever it may be, maybe looking for a vehicle for one of your kids who's about to start driving, like we're in that conversation right now. Why don't you go to CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com and start your search there? You can see the vehicles that they have. You can get a feel for the vehicles, and then you go on the lot. You're going to see it. You're going to drive it. You're going to test drive. You're going to see the great people there, and you're going to fall in love with the entire process when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Here's the thing about their customer service, right? They got complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They've got great prices. They've got amazing trade-in value for you. And when you leave, you're going to be very satisfied with the entire time there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. We're talking 15-minute drive, the very edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, it's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Baseball Bunch here for another 2 segments. Let's talk a little Justin Lampkin. When he is good, what does he do? When he struggles, what is happening? And how different is he on the road and at home? Scotty, if you start us off, please.
I think when he's good, you get like you had last night. I mean, that's that's the top level. That's what you saw in the SEC tournament last year. He has that in him. It's a consistency, and I think that's what you need to see the rest of the way out. I mean, you could pitch 2 more times on the road this year in the SEC tournament, and you could pitch in Omaha. He's going to be at home. He needs to pitch at the level that's got him, an SEC Pitcher of the Week honor, and he has that in him. And Arkansas, who I think Coach said was a great team offense, individually they're not as good as they have been. This is a team that you can have that kind of success against, and that's what I'm looking for him this week.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Bronny, confirm me if you think I'm right. I think with Lampkin, it's going to start and end with fastball command. I think if he does not command the fastball, he's going to get in trouble.
I'm in that ballpark.
Yeah.
What I think it is so determined when I watch his outings of pitch height, regardless of pitch selection, pitch height. And when he goes, you think about his last 2 outings, where it unraveled for him against LSU, 2 outs, nobody on. Where it unraveled for him against Ole Miss, 2 outs, nobody on.
Yeah.
And he gets to like these runs where everything is elevated. Even some of the pitches that LSU hit and Ole Miss hit, in terms of being over the plate, in and out, they're in good spots. But the pitch height kills him. And I think the best version of Justin Lampkin is the fastball can ride up, but he has command of it down. And then the slider plays off of that. The changeup plays off of that. Where he's gotten in trouble, in my opinion, and again, the people, Max Wiener knows like what is actually happening. They know. They have all the analytics and the data. Right. Without it having the numbers in front of me, from what I see, is that everything starts to creep up in the strike zone, and that's when he really starts getting hurt.
And he doesn't have the Hagen Smith velocity to where you can pitch that high in the zone and just blow it by people.
And he doesn't release the ball from a pitch height like Ryan Prager, who releases it at 6'8".
Right.
His pitch height is lower, so he doesn't command as much ride on it. So you don't it doesn't play up like Prager's fastball does.
Scott mentioned Lampkin being SEC Pitcher of the Week earlier in the year. When he's good, that's what you get. 7 1/3. That matches the longest start by an Aggie all year. 12 strikeouts, 1 run, 2 hits, 1 walk. When he's good, he's just as good as anybody else.
Again, we said it earlier, but if they're able to win tonight and he has a good outing, you don't, with the way Shane Sedeo's mentality is, you'd hand him the ball with a chance to win the SEC West. I don't know that you're going to ask for a better scenario, but it's going to take a lot out of Justin Lampkin, and potentially Chris Cortez is going to factor, man. He just is, and whether it's today early, today late, tomorrow early, whatever, I think Chris Cortez has got important outs to get this weekend.
There's zero question about that. Chris is going to play a huge role this weekend. There's just something about me that loves the 3 starters being left-handed for A&M. I love that with any team. I think Sasha's had that before. Richard, you have to look at the current standings, but we talk about it all the time. It's a race to 15, right? It's a race to 15 wins and you're in. 15 and 15, you're in the tournament. And I said it when the season started. I say it every year. 20 and 10. I say 20 and 10 wins you the league. 20 and 10 around there will win you the league. And like you said, Bronny, there's nothing more you can ask for. You got a shot with it the last weekend.
Shout out Nick Savage in the back. Got you those standings immediately.
Yeah. It's about right, 20 and 10.
He screamed. He really enjoyed that.
Attaboy, Nick. Bam.
And I think that the reason when you have this many teams that are on the precipice of 20 wins is because of LSU and Ole Miss and Vanderbilt and Florida being at 11 and 12. You've taken games from them. You've taken series from them. And it looks really weird to see the standings like that. We have a pretty good idea that Alabama can make a long run, that South Carolina can make a run in this tournament. And I just look up at that and I'm like,
if they get in.
Florida has to have 500 or better. So
Alabama dropped one last night to Auburn.
Yeah, Ole Miss. If Ole Miss wins 1 and they're at 500 after the LSU series, okay, they've got to go there and win 2 of 3 to stay above 500. So they have to win the what-if game. LSU's in the same position, Florida and Vanderbilt. You got to win the what-if game, and then you got to match the number of wins to the number 2 losses that you're going to get if you don't go win the tournament.
Hey, you know,
so
Florida's young pitching staff has to win the next 2 games just to have a chance.
And here's what's crazy, guys. I'm going to leave the team and the coaching staff. I'm not going to mention them by name. There is a team in college baseball who is a Power 5 in a Power 5 conference at the top of a Power 5 conference that says they would get boat raced in the SEC. Boat raced.
Well,
that's how good this league is.
Can I say this? And there's something we need to look at, David. We probably haven't even really, I don't think y'all have discussed it all week. Okay, what was the NCAA's justification, or what was the thought process behind A&M getting a 16 seed in softball? When they looked at the SEC schedules, they said, well, A&M's, who they played in the regular season, played a part in them not bumping up above Alabama, who they have head-to-head wins over, who they finished higher in the league.
Missouri.
On the baseball side, are they going to apply those same metrics? Because Arkansas's first 9 games of the league happened against Auburn, Missouri, and LSU. That's their first 9 games. A&M didn't get to play Mizzou.
Said that at the beginning of the year, that it hurt A&M that Missouri wasn't in their crossover.
But are they going to? They probably won't, because we know how the NCAA works. But
what works for one doesn't work for the other.
But I think more so importantly than that, you're asking a question, are they going to look at the SEC conference slates for all these teams that are vying for hosting or getting into the regionals? More importantly than that, I think what happened last night is that win vaulted you to number 1 in the RPI with 2 games left.
Yeah.
And if you drop 2 to the number 3 RPI team,
you're still a top 8 national seed.
Yeah, I think you're still a top 8
and
national
seed. I think that mechanically they're going to want to have 3 or 4 teams on one side of the College World Series bracket and not on both sides. Because the last thing they want is an all-SEC College World Series. That's the best teams. It's like having an all-SEC college football playoff or an all-SEC softball, or South Carolina playing Mississippi State in women's basketball. It really doesn't matter, because the best teams are going to get a chance to win and go there.
Well, you're exactly right. And what's funny is it feels like they try to do that in every sport.
Yes.
Yet we look up every year and there's four SEC teams in Omaha.
Well,
or there's on all SEC
because
national
they've
championship.
gone and won as a regional host or as a lower seed in a region and get on a run.
And let's go ahead and talk about the Texas thing.
They're coming.
Bronny brought it up in the break. The one thing I am so looking forward to is having them in our league, so we don't have to mess with this anymore. It is.
They go out of their way. I'd put all of David Nuño's salary on the Texas Longhorns being the 2 seed in this regional, unless they go on a run in the Big 12 tournament and they win it, which they could play their way into a host scenario. Yeah. And even then, A&M will be the 4, Texas will be the 12.
No, A&M will be the 2, and Texas will be the 15, because there's a certain. They're not
they'll
going
match
to
them up.
What I'm saying.
Yeah,
they'll match them up in the Super.
Yeah,
it's TV dollars.
They'll get a matchup.
And you know what? It's sad because it's the same. It's TV dollars, man. It's a disservice to both schools, honestly.
Exactly. And if it's not Texas, here's the 2. TCU's here's the 3.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's the matchups they had to have TCU and A&M play in back-to-back years.
I'm going to and I said this during the break. I will be the most upset. Whatever. You kind of expect them to try to shoehorn in a Texas or a TCU into this regional. If Lamar is the 4, then what did the regular season even mean for A, Lamar?
Surely they won't be a 4.
And B, Texas A&M.
They would be the 3, right?
Do you honestly believe that?
No, it's a good point.
There's one pitching staff in the country with better numbers than Arkansas. It's Lamar.
I just hope the NCAA is shipping that American East Bryant Bulldogs down here like they did Albany. Get the frequent flyer.
The Clendenin invitation.
To send them down here. But it is going to be better when they're in the same league, because you're not going to have a second-round NCAA basketball matchup. You're not going to have a second-round NCAA volleyball matchup or a third-round soccer matchup. It is going to be better that they're in the league than being 90 miles. Hey, we can bust them. We don't have to pay that airfare. Hear that over and over and over again. And that is going to be a benefit that will benefit both programs and college athletics in this state.
All right, we got to hit a break here. Short segment coming back. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Garner's Jewelers.
Where are you going?
And you couldn't leave your stuff?
It's awkward because Richard left and I'm still here. TexAgs Radio presented by David Garner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Baseball Bunch. Guys, how does a game that goes late last night and has the kind of ending that it has affect potentially today either team in both scenarios?
I don't put a lot of stock into that. I mean, they're 18 to 22. They're up at midnight or 1 a.m. anyways. So it's just game one, and both teams will reset and come out and give it their best shot today.
It might be a little bit different if this was an SEC tournament where you won and you got to turn around and play at 9 o'clock the next morning or 10 o'clock.
Sure.
That might be a little bit different.
These guys
are not in school anymore. There's no class today. Arkansas is obviously on the road. They're sleeping. Like, there's no chance any of those guys on either roster.
None of these kids are up.
They're not even listening to us. There's no shot. So they have a whole day to recover and reset. And the old baseball adage: you're only as good as your next day starting pitcher.
Yep. And I'm really excited about the crowd tonight, Scott. I think weather shouldn't be an issue tonight. I think the 12th man is going to be rocking tonight. It's going to be a great atmosphere between two great teams.
Yeah, and I think that was really, we talked about the effect they had at the end of the game. But what would have 9,000 have been like last night?
And we're going to find out.
And we're about to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to see the impact they can have on a ball game. Casual people that just, hey, let's get tickets. Let's go. We've heard about all this baseball. I think this is huge. And
there's a good amount of Arkansas fans in town. They travel.
They travel well.
Yeah.
And listen, don't for a second think that these Hogs are going to be intimidated by what's going on at Olson Field. I know the last time you've been to Baum Stadium, but that place absolutely rocks.
Yeah.
So I would say that was my second best road environment, I would say, during my time here. Listen, it's kind of like you talking about Skeens and Hagen Smith in a big gap. It's kind of Alex box and then a big gap, and then I would put Baum number 2.
Interesting. I played at the old box, and I would have the old box ahead of the new box.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That place is unbelievable, man.
Yeah. But see, the new one to me felt like a minor league stadium compared to the old one.
Really?
Yeah. My top, Alex Box Stadium and Olson Field were my two that I played in college. Mm-hmm. And then, surprisingly, my third one would be Louisiana Lafayette. They get after it there, too.
Yeah, I heard that place gets rowdy.
But, yeah, you say that about Arkansas is not going to be intimidated, but what have we seen this really good A&M team do the last couple of weekends? They haven't played well on the road in bigger environments.
Well, isn't it true that no one in the league has, really?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're coming tonight, like the 11th inning last night is now the standard in terms of like when in big moments, the volume level goes way up.
That's true. I said that, and then I also said that we both felt like the crowd impacted McIntyre finding the zone last night.
Look, if Arkansas is going to beat A&M twice, make them do it in the teeth of a full voice 12
Make them earn it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I've seen Kyle Tebow do the exact same thing. Guys that are pitching at the end of those ball games that feed off that crowd and are into it from pitch to pitch. And I know y'all did bank on it earlier. I'm banking on some early runs. I don't care if it's the top, the middle, or the bottom. I'm banking on early runs and changing how this series plays out.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, Recruiting Country, Tom Hart's going to stop by at 10:30. Got Brian Kortan stopping by at 10:20. That and more, TexAgs Radio. We'll see you in a bit.
All right, we are back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Recruiting Country, presented by Caprock Health System, a faster patient center revolution in care with 2 ERs in the Bryan College Station area. You got the original 24-hour ER in South College Station on William D. Fitch, and you've got the full-service hospital with ER in Bryan on Briarcrest. Check them out online at caprockhealthsystem.com. Bronny, thanks for sticking around. A lot of radio for you today.
Can I say something?
You can say many things.
So this Recruiting Country is happening on Friday morning. It usually happens on Wednesday morning.
Yep.
Who came in to take that spot on Wednesday?
Oh, there's a guy that we don't put on too often. His name is Bill.
Who always has to cut their airtime short or maneuver their schedule to fit Billy Lucci? It seems like he never steals time from John Harris or Shireen or Olin.
There's a reason.
There's one guy.
There's a reason. He likes their content a lot.
Okay.
He likes it a lot.
I hope he's listening.
Text message 3,
oh,
2,
yeah.
1. Can we get into some recruiting? We got some questions already coming in for you.
We got to go quick, right? Because we got Kortan. There's only one segment.
Yeah, we'll try to go 20-minute segment here. Kobe Sellers edition earlier in the week. Just I don't think you and I got to talk about it.
Did we not? I thought we had. But like the one thing when you want to talk about Kobe, I think you need to start examining the characteristics that they're finding in the defensive back position group, which is what Jason wrote about this week in the long form article. But I also think you need to start looking at that at all their position groups. Like, what are some traits that are very important to this coaching staff? And that's something that we don't know when a new group comes in. Mm-hmm. And you just got to go through the recruiting cycle and see what they're valuing. And so for the defensive back group, they're placing a high value on speed, like straight line speed. All these guys can really, really run. And Kobe Sellers, one of his best attributes is his mobility. And when I mean mobility, it's straight line speed, it's change of direction, it's fluidity. Very good athlete at corner. Reminds me a little bit in terms of the overall athletic profile of Bravion Rogers, but he's further ahead in terms of his technique. Bravion, being from a small town, is a little bit different, but they are both very, very good movers. And that's all I'm looking at. I'm not talking about examining them as football players. I'm talking about them as athletes and movers. Very similar skill set, in my opinion. Kobe Sellers obviously playing at one of the best 6A schools in Houston, Shadow Creek program that pumps out a lot of high-end Division I players. And he is, when you looked at the in-state defensive back group, one of the things, that was one of the positions where we've talked a lot about, it's going to be interesting to see who gets the big pushes. They've got offers out across the state, but who are they really going to press on to get commitments? And if you go back to January and February and you would have asked Kobe Sellers, do you think A&M is going to be your spot? Probably in January and February, he said, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to end up at A&M. And I think likewise, the A&M staff was going to go, I don't know if Kobe Sellers is going to be a guy that we make a big push for. But the more they watched him, the more they got to interact with him one-on-one, we know how important personality and culture traits are to Mike Elko with the guys he's recruiting. So I think both sides, as Kobe came on more visits, as Jordan Peterson, Ish Aristide, Jay Bateman, Mike Elko make calls to Kobe, I think both sides started to warm up to this idea of him having a future in College Station. So A, you're getting a really good player from a power program in Houston. B, he fits what you're looking for from a culture and personality perspective. And then C, it also really it helps a lot that he's very, very close to two of your prime targets remaining on the defensive side of the ball in Max Granville and Jonah Williams. So, and those were two kids that Kobe brought up by name to me. Like, yeah, I'm really going to turn the heat up on Max Granville and Jonah Williams. Those are two of my closest friends.
Well, let's talk about the Jonah Williams race. That's still going on, and they still have a chance.
Yeah, and to just kind of let you know where he's at on the priority list, A&M sent the entire defensive staff to Galveston Ball earlier this week to go see him. I think he is going to Oregon this weekend. I can't remember. He's got Oregon coming up. Oregon's a real threat. Oklahoma's a real threat. Ohio State's a real threat, and I think A&M might be the biggest threat right now to all those. I think if you were to ask those coaching and recruiting staffs at all of those places, they would say, yeah, we feel like we're chasing A&M right now for Jonah. And that is a complete 180 from where this thing was back in November, December. The Aggies have really made a huge surge for Jonah. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean, like, I'm not on air predicting that A&M is going to get him. I just think they're in the pole position right now to do so if he decides he wants to make a decision very, very soon. But he's going to take officials and unofficials this summer before he makes a decision. So there's still a lot of work to do. But when you look at the A&M class and the prospects of their defensive side of the ball, what it could look like for Jay Bateman, like Jonah Williams is one of the huge pieces still out there. Like if they get him and how it could fall around him, you're looking at an elite defensive haul.
So what changed? Obviously there's a change in coach, but like in November they weren't really in the race, and now they're leading the pack.
Yeah, I think it's just the persistence of Mike Elko. Look, man, I'm just going to be honest. Now, I talked to Keyshawn Henderson, 2026 at Houston Legacy this week, Josh Moses, Mike Brown. I went to Houston Legacy, talked to all those guys. We continue to talk to players that have come on visits in the last month, coaches, trainers, parents. I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to run down anybody that was on the previous staff at all. It's just so different in terms of the vibe, the communication, the consistency, the organization. It's a standout talking point for everybody that we interact with about these visits. And it's, not just the visits, it's the consistency of communication, the consistency of messaging. You're not having a recruiting staff member tell you one thing and then the position coach tell you another thing, and then you randomly have another coach on staff hit you up about something else. Like there is a clear line of recruiting and how it's going to work. And I think the efficiency of it all makes it more manageable in a time where recruiting is as insane as it's ever been. You better be really efficient with how you, A, operate it, and B, communicate it, right? We talked about that before. Your efficiency better be very, very high. And I think that's what Mike Elko has done. And we're seeing the benefits of it right now. There's still a lot of work to do. Nothing's done. But it's a lot easier now in May to project A&M as a top 5 class than it was in January. And that's a credit to, and that is because of the way this staff is going about their business day to day and week to week.
So I was listening to a podcast and they were giving grace to Michigan State, Jonathan Smith, because it's an adjustment, new coaching staff, people leaving, yada, yada, yada. So they're giving them grace. And I'm like, while I get that, I think people are not recognizing what Elko had up against him in the SEC and how smooth of a transition and how his plan has come together so far.
Yeah, and I don't think the average fan will ever understand all the stuff he had to work through in the first couple of months. Like the day-to-day, how often he was on the phone working. I listened to Billy this week talk about the people that he met with and the time that he gave the donors and the administrators. And like he understands, he gets the big picture here. He understands how all this is going down and what the new world of recruiting looks like. And you talk about giving grace, and it is understandable, but at this moment in college football, you don't have time for grace. Like, that you can completely flip a roster in one offseason. It's not easy to do, and nobody's going to hold you over the coals if you don't do it, but you can do it. And it's vital to your team's success. Like there is a percentage, there's a pie chart of how much culture matters and how much talent matters, and you got to get it right. And that's something they're certainly doing over there, is doing their homework on the culture. And Mike Elko in these coaches' nights has spoken a lot about the culture of his team. But I think, regardless of sport right now, one of the most important things that a coach can do is acquire talent, because it is so fluid. The talent moves so much now that acquiring it semester by semester and being able to maneuver in this era of college football and the fluidity of the talent, but also the fluidity of the calendar, you have to be able to manage that. So, yeah, I'm sure Jonathan Smith's going to get some grace, and he's going from Oregon State, where what does your recruiting base look like there? Halfway across the country to Michigan State, what does your recruiting base look like there? It's different from Mike Elko. He's been not only at Texas A&M, he's been in the South and understands recruiting and the talent population and density and where to go and where to spend your time. like there's a difference. And he also knows that, like, I don't have time to like have a grace period. I want to win now. It matters to this fan base. It matters to these kids that they win now. I've got talent on campus. I've got to keep acquiring that level of talent just to compete in what's now a 16-team SEC.
Does he run it like a business, but a business that you can go to the CEO's office right down the hall?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what college football is nowadays, are massive businesses. It's one of the reasons why if I told you that in 5 years we're going to have owners of college football, like the NFL has owners, at one point that was a crazy idea, but is it that far-fetched now?
Not at all.
But you have to – there's so much on head coach's plate. And it used to be you're just, recruiting and coaching ball players. That was it. 10, 15 years ago, I recruit and I coach. Now there's so much added to that plate. And you are a business manager. You're a people manager. You're a personality manager. You're a big shake hander. And you better be able to function in all of those settings. Because all it takes now, man, is for one person to get upset and they pick this thing up and they fire off a tweet, and whether it's true or not, it can take off like a rocket ship. And we saw that with the sliced bread rumors. And what did that do for A&M's, the perception of A&M nationally?
It's still out there.
Right. And there are enough people that believe it that you're never going to change their mind. So it's not even worth arguing about anymore. But Mike Elko is trying to make this football program transition, and it's Trev Alberts too. That's not an easy job for an AD, but they're trying to make A&M be at the forefront of whatever college football is about to look like. And you can have all these changes, but the lifeblood of your program is recruiting.
Yeah.
And you better be good in the state of Texas, which they've made a huge, huge impact on the coaches here in the state. You better have good relationships here, and then you better be able to go and manage the portal and do your eval and your homework to bring in the right guys to help you immediately as well.
Let's talk Lincoln Cure. He scheduled his official visit.
Yeah, and again, you want to speak not just to Mike Elko, but his staff. Lincoln Cure would not even be on the Texas A&M radar by his own admission. A&M would be an afterthought in his recruiting process without Colin Klein here. He's from Goodland, Kansas. He grew up a K-State fan, grew up a huge fan of Colin Klein. So Colin Klein is the reason why A&M is in on one of the top tight ends in the country. And it's a position that Colin Klein, I think, is keen on using, keen on it being a big piece of his offense. And I talked to Lincoln after his last visit to A&M. He said all those things. Like, not only do I have a great relationship with Coach Klein, but I love his vision for my role in his offense. And I think that if my ultimate goal is the NFL, I think his offense puts me in position to showcase my abilities and then, live out that dream of playing professionally. So I think A&M's in a great spot there, man. Like, he's getting recruited by everybody in the country. He told me he's going to take his visits before he sits down and makes a decision. The Aggies are going to get an official visit. I think they could put some distance between themselves and the field with a good weekend in June.
What does it look like the next couple of weeks?
It's slow. I'll say this. We're keeping an eye on something. Like, it was funny because Jason and I think we both, either in writing or audio, like on podcast, in-home visits or Recruiting Country, we've either written it or said it that we thought this would be a pretty slow time. And then, they get a commitment from Kobe Sellers, and now we're watching something else. So, not trying to give too much away, but we're keeping an eye on something that could happen potentially in the next couple of weeks before June. But if it doesn't, if the kid decides, hey, I'm just going to back off and wait, then I don't expect any kind of additions to the 2025 recruiting class until those June official visits start.
A couple text messages. Justin in Plano. Brownie. He called you Brownie, not Brawny.
I look like a brownie.
Just quit whining about your airtime. Try something else. Okay, I'll move on from that one. Jim in Temple. What are the chances to land uncommitted Nicholas Townsend of Spring Decaney? One of the Johnny's best teammates was electric. Trey Williams from Spring Decaney. This is Jim in Temple.
I went to Spring Decaney this week and spoke to Nick one-on-one. He's being recruited as a tight end, but it's a completely different body style and position than Lincoln Cure. I mean, this kid is the most electric H-back I've ever seen. Like, if he was going to be recruited as a stand-up linebacker, he'd be a high 4-star stand-up linebacker. If he wanted to be recruited as a running back, he'd be a 4-star running back. He is a athletic, hugely gifted athletic presence at an H-back position, and you just don't see that a kid excel there in high school, that's usually a kid kind of fits the mold, so we're going to put him there in college.
Right.
He's doing it in high school. And I highly suggest you go watch his tape if you're wondering why he's such a high priority for Mike Elko and Colin Klein. A&M's in a good spot there. I think they can do that. I think it's going to come down actually to A&M and Alabama. He's going to go see Tuscaloosa. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to give him plenty to think about, but I also like A&M's chances because the proximity to home. He said that, being a Houston kid, he'd love for his family to be able to come up and see him whenever they needed to. But again, much like Lincoln Cure, I think Nicholas Townsend loves the idea of and loves what Colin Klein has done with that position specifically. And I can tell you this, I don't know exactly who's played H-back for Colin Klein or that flex tight end. He ain't had an athlete like this do it. Like if they get Nick Townsend, that'd be a pretty big jolt for their offensive recruiting.
Matt in San Antonio, with Coach Elko emphasizing culture so much, I was wondering how honest and forthcoming high school coaches are about the character and the work ethic of their kids when communicating with the staff.
I think from a coach's perspective, you better be honest all the time, because if you send a kid to a program and you lied about the kid in terms of his work ethic, character stuff off the field, then your name and your word is no longer trusted amongst college coaches, not just that school. That stuff gets around. These college coaches talk. So if I say, David Nuño, A+ kid, you'll never have an issue, hard worker, shows up to practice, and then you show up to college campus and you ain't that.
You ain't trusting that coaching staff anymore.
Right. So it's something we deal with, like with 12, is we tell our kids, I am going to be honest about you. What am I going to say when the college coaches call? Ask yourself that. But I'm going to be honest because I have to be.
Yeah, for your reputation.
Right.
And all right, last one for you. Did we talk Trey McNutt? I don't think we did.
No, I don't think we have. He's another one. So A&M's safety board right now is Jonah Williams and Trey McNutt, and those are huge, prospects. Trey's going to be tough. He's going to officially visit A&M. I got that confirmed. I think the Aggies did a great job on his unofficial visit when he came during the spring. He's got some ties to some trainers in Houston. He's got some ties to some Aggies out there, in the Midwest and across the country, really. Just the 7-on-7 circuit has blossomed into this crazy thing where these kids get tied and pulled all over the place. But Trey, I like the kid a lot, well-spoken. I think he fits with what Mike Elko wants to do from a culture standpoint. But it's going to be tough. I mean, that kid's from Cleveland, and Ohio State is making a huge push there. So I would put him as a little bit longer shot right now, but he is going to take an official visit.
Come back for Tom Hart, all right?
Yeah.
All right. Coming up next, Brian Kortan. We'll talk a little Aggie men's golf. They're going to be moving on in the NCAA tournament. Hush and Whisper Time, an innovative distillery cocktail lounge founded to defy convention and distill true-to-grain glass spirits out there. They are located in the Verisco building in downtown Bryan. Great place to go. They've got the white whiskey, the original vodka, and the original gin. And I got a press release earlier in the week, just 6 months into opening their doors. Their spirits are being recognized for exemplary craftsmanship. The ADI, which is the American Distilling Institute, has Brian's own Hush and Whisper Distilling Company outperforming its competition in medal, with each product entered. The original gin entered the gold medal and best categories. Classic gin flavored, you name it, they have it there when you go to Hush and Whisper, where you can reserve a tour, a tasting, and or just a tasting. You can do them both together. Great place to have, it's a weekend, right? Why not go on a Friday night? Right after the game, you go hang out there. Be awesome place to just go enjoy. If you got out-of-town guests, awesome place to go. Come in for a mocktail, come in for a cocktail. They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Do something different and just enjoy it, guys. Hushandwhisper.com is the website. Hushandwhisper.com. Go check it out. How many good things do we have going on here at Texas A&M? A lot to get into here. We got the A&M men's golf team earning a spot in next week's NCAA championships with a third-place showing in the Stanford Regional, and this is their third consecutive year and the fifth time in the last 6 regionals. To talk about it, Brian Kortan is in studio. Coach, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. So you a little tired? A little bit?
No, you don't get tired this time of
No?
year. I mean, there's a lack of sleep, and then there's uncomfortable sleep, but then the old adrenaline kicks in, and nope, you're just ready to go. Let's on to the next one.
On to the next one. So just kind of take me through how was the experience and how are you feeling about things?
It was great. The guys did a great job. I mean, it was really an impressive performance. We got off to a rough start. The first 9 holes, we were 2 or 3 over par, making the turn the first day, which it gave up scores that first day. But the guys played a fantastic. We started on the back and played the front. And what we shoot? We shot like 12 under on that front side to post a really nice score that day. And then they backed it up the second round with a great score to put us in. I don't want to say we were in coast mode, but we just had to play golf and get in, and we'd be fine. So they did a good job. Maybe gave a few up coming down the stretch, but overall, just guys are nails. It was great.
Let's talk about the health of the program too, because you heard me in the lead-in. Third consecutive year to go, 5th in the last 6 regionals. I mean, this is a mainstay for the program.
I mean, I'm not a guy that we have a standard that we work towards, and expectations are different, at kind of a different category, but we have a standard, and our standard is to play for championships, and when we leave town, we intend to do well. And that's the bottom line for us. So we've got good guys, they buy in, they play for each other, they're like family. Sure makes it a heck of a lot easier when you're trying to turn a bunch of individuals into a team sport when they buy in the way they do. So yeah, we're special. It's a special group, and it's maybe not the most talented group we've ever had for sure, but maybe some of the most serious competitors that we've had for sure.
Love to hear that. Can you speak a little bit to the challenges of the regional? A lot of great teams don't get out. It's so tough.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. I mean, I'm sure Garrett's been on and spoken about it a little bit. But yeah, 5 of the top 10 teams in the country didn't make it through regionals. So it's similar to a lot of other sports. I mean, the softball starts this week and baseball will be around the corner, where you have got to continue to put your best foot forward, or these programs that are incredibly competitive that also have good players, they want to take you down. So it's a big deal. I don't take it for granted. Our players don't take it for granted, but the standard is what the standard is, and that is we will prepare to be in position to be successful when we leave town.
Let's go through some of the guys. How good was P?
Amazing. Makes 1 bogey. I was kidding with him on the way home. I said, what the heck happened on hole 6? That was his only bogey, hole 6 the last day. I got a couple texts from, some people that follow us pretty close. They're like, what the heck happened to P? He made a bogey. He was just absolutely in control, emotionally, physically. That was great. Danny competed his tail off like he always does. Had another good finish. Jaime, kind of does what Jaime does. He sometimes looks like he gets behind the 8 ball, but man, he's got some trick shots in the book to get away from some stuff. But he, birdies the last few holes, each day, finishes 2 or 3 under the last 2 days each round. Mike played 2 great rounds, the first 2 rounds. He's in the top 10 of the tournament. And Aaron, was pretty comfortable most of the week. I mean, he was a shot or 2 from having really good scores each day, and actually the second round posted 69. So it's a team effort, and that's how our program is. We're a team effort group, and we're okay with that.
I was gonna say that's probably like the secret sauce too, right? You have everybody contributing the way they did.
Yeah, we don't want to put it on one guy, and they don't, and nobody wants to leave somebody else, kind of in a spot. So they work their tail off to not do that. But a very impressive week. I mean, we had 2 holes in 1, 7 eagles, probably more eagles in that event than we've had all year. And there was eagles to be had, but for those guys to make a couple 1s out there and make a bunch of eagles, it was cool.
So what's the schedule the rest of the way?
Well, hopefully it stops raining.
Right.
I mean, God, it's just been a deluge. Just, kind of get our feet back underneath us, get some work in, and get out to San Diego and get settled in and play some golf. But we got back last night after the flood. Apparently, we saw that as we drove through Traditions. But take off Tuesday and get out there, play a little golf Wednesday, and then the practice round for us is Thursday next week.
What are the challenges of that course?
Nobody knows. I mean, the girls are. The women's tournament is the first actual rounds on that golf course. So, who knows? I mean, it's going to be. It'll be a test. I mean, there's no question. They've planned it. They're trying to make it. They want to make it a site that we stay at for a long time, maybe permanently. And so I'm expecting a golf course that will fit that type of, align with those beliefs. So it needs to be difficult. It will be a challenge, and it'll play really well and look good on TV. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, though. I'm glad we got a tee time.
Is there enough time to feel comfortable there? I mean, everybody's going through the same challenges, but enough time to feel comfortable?
There's a lot of guys that we've done this for a long time. We'll figure some stuff out, and as you play it a time or two, you'll maybe change a few things in what you do. But the recipe is always the recipe, which is, tee the golf ball in the fairway, control your golf ball from there, be efficient, and scores will come. But in terms of how that looks or what stretches of the golf course are maybe more challenging than the others, who knows? I mean, it's still just such a new product.
What do you say the personality of your team is?
Personality of the team, man, I don't know if I can.
Because every time you talk about them, they're so competitive and focused, and
they're a competitive bunch. They really care about each other. They have a good time, and they like to soak some things in. I mean, they enjoy the competition and they enjoy being with each other. So the road's fun for us. I mean, we eat some good dinners. We do a few things. Went down to the pier, played Pasta Tampa. Went down to the pier the day before the tournament, down in Santa Cruz. Just do some things that, the guys kind of gravitate towards each other a little bit. I try to stay out of their way a little bit when they're kind of being the guys and let them be with each other. So it's a real family. It's brotherly, and that's but when they step between the lines, they're there for each other.
You like the way you're playing?
I do. I like a lot of the things we're doing. We've been working hard, and we've talked about it. I've been on the show a little bit, and we always felt like our best golf was ahead of us, and I still don't think that we've got there. But we have one more opportunity to see if we can, wring the best out of us that we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you, and good luck to you.
Absolutely. Thank
Brian
you.
Kortan here in studio. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. I believe Tom Hart is in the building. We'll hopefully get him here in studio in a moment. Right now, Costa Vida time. They are going to have a concession stand, obviously, at baseball. We'll talk about that in a moment. But they're also going to be at the Troubadour Festival because there's a lot going on this weekend here in College Station. Their food trailer will be serving tacos, quesadillas, chips, and queso. As you know, they've got that concession stand there at Olsen Field where they, on the third base line, by the way, where they have chili lime chicken. They got sweet pork burritos. They've got sweet pork baja bowls. They got chips. They got queso. They got key lime pie. And obviously, when you go in store there in South College Station, you get some great food there. But you should order the home run combo there, which is what Jace Lavalette loves to get, and Ryan Targash, number 12. The home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchilada smothered in house-made queso, rice and beans, and a large drink for $11.99. They're there in South College Station. Aggie owned and operated. Holly's the best. When you go there, try the tortilla soup, one of my favorites, the quesadillas. You can go there for the mornings as well. Get some coffee, get a breakfast taco, you name it. Fresh Mex done the right way. It is there at 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Again, 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station is Costa Vida.
We're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Bronny's back in studio. Tom Hart is in studio. What's up, buddy?
It's great to be here. This is amazing.
So I usually see you once or twice a year because I don't get invited to the nice dinners that you and Billy go to.
He saved a seat for you.
Yeah, but he didn't tell me. It's all right. And I also go to bed at 9 o'clock at night, so that's part of the
The restrictions that you have in place on your life are not conducive to dining with Billy and I.
Well, Bronny, have you been invited?
I have not, but
Okay.
I understand what he's saying. Because there's this whole thing with David and Billy about Billy's convinced that David weighs out his chicken and the rice that they bring to him. No, in the restaurant.
Oh no, I don't do that at the restaurant. No.
But it's a good back and forth.
You
It'd
just
be
ask the chef.
entertaining.
You call beforehand and say how many ounces in your chicken.
Well, sometimes I'll say, yeah, how many ounces, and can I get the skin off, please? And what kind of oils are you using? I ask those questions. Sure. How many
Billy,
ounces of potatoes? Yes, I do.
Billy hates it, right? It's still like Billy. That is the most ammo that you could give Billy Lucci is screwing up or messing around with a.
It's funny because Billy eats more soup than any senior citizen I know. Like every time I'm there with him, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not really going to eat. Can you bring me the soup? Make it the big one. Add this, this, and this." And it's like, who eats that much soup? Especially when it's 90 degrees out, as it was.
Well, I'm a big soup guy too, but he'll also order a big appetizer, have one, and then he's done. He's out. He just wants to taste it.
He'll get a dessert, 2 bites, throw it away.
I'm like eating with an alligator. All right, like if we get an appetizer platter for the table and it's just sitting there, I'm not waiting. Like I am
You go
playing
first?
hungry hippo, and I'm going in on it. Everybody has the same access to it. If you're not, for example, you're probably not going to touch the calamari.
Sometimes I will.
Okay, maybe a nibble.
If I get one, I'm having 7. That's how it
That's
works.
fair. But if you're not interested, that's fine. You don't have to put up a red flag. I am going to go in on it, though.
Okay.
And everybody, listen, I'm one of 6 kids. Like, I learned at an early age.
You better get it now.
If you don't grab the cornbread, it's gone.
So do you ever start taking, I evaluate. I've already had one piece of bread. Are they going to get upset if I get another one? I sometimes think about the group. I think about the group.
I absolutely do, yeah. I do the math. We had oysters on the table the other night. I took one. Someone else took one. No one else partook, and I waited. And I gave them ample opportunity.
Yeah, you got to give them
then
time.
I went in for number 2, and I thought, we're not just going to let these sit here.
Right.
So,
and then part of you hopes
but I
they
did
don't
the
go
math
for
first.
You hope they don't go for another one, so you can potentially get a third.
I wouldn't. I don't want to say I would never, but I would be hesitant to go in and take the third of 6.
Depends on who's your company.
This is true.
Right? If you're with people that you don't see all the time, then you obviously don't want to be overindulgent. But if it's somebody like, if I was going to dinner with you and Billy, I'll take whatever I want.
Does it depend on who's picking up the check? Like if you're picking up the check, do you feel like you're more in control? Like,
good point.
Forget it.
I'm going to have another one. Absolutely, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. Oh, but if I see the waitstaff take the plate without the appetizers being finished, I'm going in for that last one. That's a fact.
Oh, I worked in the service industry for a long time. I am sympathetic to those jobs are not easy. But if you try to take my plate before I'm done,
you worked at
throwing
Culver's,
bows.
right?
Huh?
You worked at Culver's growing up in the South.
yeah. Culver's a great Southern institution.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't get any swag.
Right next to the Hoover Met.
I didn't get any swag out of that deal. I didn't even get a
And you were
cheeseburger.
the one that kind of banged the drum the loudest for us. So thank you.
Yeah.
Haven't told
do
you
what
that
I
in
can.
person.
Let's let everybody eat.
All right, so I've heard from our perspective of what it felt like last night. From your perspective, what was Bluebell like?
It was awesome. I wish everything was on time and the weather was perfect. That would have been, in perfect circumstances, full house, which is what we would have had the storms not come through. That would have been an all-time pitching matchup. It already was an hour and a half later. And we knew that coming in with Hagen Smith that it has the potential to be every time he's on the mound. He's that good. And to be able to answer that and to get up for, all right, I see all those scouts there. I know what this guy's going to do. I've got to match it. Man, I thought that was – I don't know. I don't want to say never. I can't remember the last time I saw 2 pitchers go mano-a-mano like that, and it was really impressive.
Do you think that you've done games for a long time? Where does Hagen Smith this year rank on Tom Hart's, hey, these are the best guys I've ever seen in this league scale?
He's up there. Skeens was otherworldly last year. He just had – well, and Hagen Smith has the presence, but Skeens was a bigger guy and more powerful. And even though we're just told that, what did Prager, how many 100-mile – he threw 500 miles
Smith
per hour
5
pitches.
times, 5 times in the first inning.
First inning. Skeens threw 17 over 100 in his major league debut. last Saturday. Skeens is up there. I think what makes Hagen Smith stand out is this league always has Friday night first rounders, right? It always has dudes. There doesn't seem to be that level of guys this year except for Hagen Smith. There's great pitchers, and there are guys who are going to be drafted and play a long time and make a lot of money. But like we started talking about Carson Fulmer, Walker Buehler last night. They're on the same staff at Vanderbilt, and there were other great pitchers scattered through the league. So I think that probably we emphasize Hagen Smith's abilities even more, but to touch triple digits and sit there in the first inning from the left side and the slider he has, Schloss said it and Dave Van Horn said it. Schloss said he can't remember another lefty like that. Van Horn said it's the best he's ever seen. And I know we get caught up in the moment sometimes, but it's legit, and I think he proved it last night against an incredible lineup. Like, to do that against this lineup, this is not, school for the deaf out there.
I've heard a couple.
They're not bad, by the way.
They're actually
small ball.
They're underrated.
Yeah,
I've heard a couple times Schloss talk about his friendship with you guys. Were you friends before he got to A&M? How did that relationship kind of start?
Yeah, I first met him when he was at TCU, and we had a couple regular season games there. And the guys in our circle and all our college baseball guys on the TV side have been around forever, like been doing games for a long time. So they were already familiar with them. He had made other stops with other coaches and coaching staffs. That, it's a pretty tight circle. But he was so in tune with the media side of things and just such a great guy. And we knew their staff really well. Kirk Zarlos, who's now the head coach, and Bill Mosiello, who's now at Ohio State, that there's a lot of hanging out going on with that staff. They're friendly, they were fun, they were social. And so I remember going to Schloss's house after a game. He lived right next to the stadium. He took a golf cart to work every day. And we get in his backyard, and he's got the TV set up and have a beer, watch, the late games or whatever. And he's got it on the SEC network. And I've told him this before, but it's been a couple of years. And I was like, okay, this guy is going to end up in the SEC. And I asked him, I was like, you're in the Big 12. Why are we watching, SEC now? And he said, listen, this is the only network that covers college baseball like this. It's the only network that I get college baseball in the studio show. And I think coaches gravitate towards this league because they know how important the sport is here. And everybody wants to be somewhere or cover something, if it's worth your time, that is important. And it's a big deal. That's why it's fun coming to do games here.
I'll often wonder this. When you get into a broadcast with a game like last night and you have a former All-American pitcher sitting next to you, like, how much do you just kind of divert the conversation and just let him take over? Because I got to imagine sitting next to KP and watching Hagen Smith do it his way and then Ryan Prager do it his way. And then the bullpens come in and it's 100 miles an hour from Arkansas, and here comes Evan Oschenbeck doing it his way. I got to imagine there's some kind of twinkle in his eye that you got to let him go when these pitching matchups unfold like that.
Yeah, KP is a bit of a minimalist when it comes to being a broadcaster, right? Like, he just wants to sit, let the game wave over him. But when he gets in, he turns into E.F. Hutton, right? Because he gets excited and it's, let me tell you what just happened. Here's why that is so impressive. And I think those words carry a lot more weight, right? If you're just yapping the whole time, it becomes, white noise. But, yeah, he loves good pitching. And I trust what he sees and what he thinks because he's got the track record, he's got the Rolodex. He's seen everybody of import that's come through the college game in the last 25 years. And then you go back to his playing days at Stanford. So, yeah, it's fun to see somebody get excited about that.
So you guys know Schloss well. How do you think he manages these last two, considering there's an SEC West title still at stake? Like, do you go all in just to win the series? Do you have to kind of take your time and decide who's going to go in now and wait for Sunday? Or, Saturday?
Well, I thought last night it got to a point, especially with Oschenbeck, where it was like, okay, like, we have a chance to win this game. We have a chance to beat Hagen Smith. We have a chance to take game one. That becomes the most important goal of the weekend. And you don't think about the next 2 days. I don't want to say division's not important. It gets you in the number 2 seed. The main goal is to hang on to a top 4 seed so you don't have to play Tuesday. But I think you can manage the bullpen now in ways that you don't have to take a whole lot of chances. Offense is going to go up without Hagen Smith on the mound and Prager on the mound. But it's going to get warmer. The wind will shift. Saturday's probably going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, we know it's going to be more than 1-0. And you hope, I think you can let those hitters eat, and you don't have to worry so much about how you're managing the bullpen if you can get some runs across.
I think the flow of the game today will dictate the decision out of the bullpen. From an A&M perspective, I think the ideal scenario is that you go into tomorrow with a chance to win a division.
Yeah.
And they do give you an SEC West trophy. I mean, there's one sitting in there from Schloss's first year. So I think if you have that to play for, you've got to go all in to win today to make sure that is on the line tomorrow when you come to the ballpark. So what does that mean? Does that mean it's Chris Cortez without question, the first guy out of the bullpen? Because not only can he give you some length, but he's the only guy on the staff that is going to look like these big power arms like Arkansas runs out, and he's been fantastic for A&M. I think that will be a key. And like Tom said, what offensively now, how does the series shift? There's no wind outside today. If there's a south wind, last night looks way different with a south wind on both sides. But what does the offensive outputs look like for the remainder 18 innings of the series? It's something that I'm super intrigued by. Arkansas's – A&M can fire a few bullets out of the bullpen, and they've been really, really good this year. Arkansas's got a whole arsenal. They just keep rolling in guy after guy for different scenarios. So even though they pitched, 5 guys last night?
Yeah.
They all can come back and impact these final 2 games.
So we've gone 11 minutes and really not focused on the offense. So are we thinking the offense is going to finally turn around for A&M? I mean, it's been a little while.
Well, I think it's a bit unfair. You look at trends in the game, right? And Braden Montgomery is in a downward trend right now, and I think he struck out 3 times last night. 4 strikeouts and went 0 for 5. It's a bit unfair to judge a team or an individual against Hagen Smith. Like, he makes a lot of people look bad, and he's going to do that for a long time. So that being the caveat, I think the number one concern with this team is getting the offense going. I mean, they have to be in a place where they can outslug people, where they can score a lot of runs, where it covers up for, any defensive miscues like they had in the LSU series. If the bullpen, if you have to lean on a guy who's not your first, second, third choice, you got to find some offense. And that's the strength of this team. Second in the country in walks. They didn't get their first walk until the 11th inning last night. And how did they win the game? They won it on a walk, right? So without that patience, maybe they don't even win that game. And once again, easier said than done when you're facing Hagen Smith and then Arkansas's first choices out of their bullpen, because it's one of the best staffs in the country. But you got to find a way to get things kick-started there.
Yeah, and I don't think you throw the baby out in the bathwater. We talked about that last hour. For 45 games of the 55, 56-game regular season, this has been one of the elite offenses in the country. They don't just forget how to produce like that. I think you get into situations, especially in games like last night, where guys just feel like they have to do it. And you fall into this thing against a really good pitcher. I have to be the guy that gets the hit. And that only takes away from your overall approach and your overall team hitting mentality. So just from my perspective, them regaining the control of the strike zone that they do offensively, taking your walks, and then slugging. That's what this A&M offense is. That's what the Georgia offense is. They get on base and they slug. So if you have strikeouts mixed in while you're doing that, the strikeouts are just another out. But if you're not walking and you're not slugging, then the strikeouts become an issue. So it's about getting back to, from my perspective, owning the strike zone offensively.
Do you ever wonder where that phrase came from? Like, do you know anybody who's thrown a baby out with the bathwater? Because they should be in jail.
That
is not good parenting.
That is, or if you're the teacher or the guardian, whoever's watching, that's terrible.
That's awful.
By
the way, it's not even good housekeeping. Why are you throwing bathwater out? Just
let it go down the drain, right?
I thought Tom was like, I could see him make eye contact. I thought it made a good point, and he wanted to jump on it.
It was the baby does not need to go, or the bathwater.
Yeah.
So final thought. So you're not as well. Let me rephrase this. You're worried about the strikeouts because the long ball isn't going, but overall you haven't been worried about it.
No, and also this is a very rare weekend in Bryan College Station that it's May, and we got that kind of rain and a north wind. It's usually hot and howling out, and I think one of the reasons why it's important for this A&M team, Tom, to get postseason play throughout the duration of a regional and a super, which I think they probably locked up last night, but is because when the wind turns around at this place with this offense, they can run off and leave you.
Yeah, and I'm not at all concerned with the strikeouts. I think that's a byproduct of the aggressive nature of the swings, which leads to the slugging, and also a byproduct of working the count and finding the right strike for you. Like, You have a higher chance of striking out the more pitches you see. It's simple math. If you just jump on early pitches, yeah, you're not going to strike out, but you're probably not going to hit 120 home runs or break the record set by the 99 team. So I think that's the identity of this offense. And the evolution of modern offenses, the strikeout's just not a concern.
Brady Montgomery get out of his slump, you think?
If he's swinging too much. You know, the goal shouldn't be to be the guy that swings the most. It should be the guy that does the most damage when he does swing. It's a competitive thing. He knows, like, he's probably mired in a slump that he's never seen in his baseball life. He wants to get hits, so you have to fight that mentally. It's not a talent thing, obviously, but I think if he could have a flared single in his first at bat today, and that could get him going. So I think he just needs to see the ball hit some green grass and start feeling good about himself.
There was another adage. I can't use the whole thing, but it's from a movie. But what you're saying is it's not he who swings the most. So it's kind of like you can walk down the hill. You can run down the hill for one sheep, or you can walk down the hill for all of the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just walk down the hill.
Just walk. That's all it takes. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you.
Thanks
sir.
for having me.
Yeah,
This
it was
is
awesome,
great.
man. Do it more often.
Yeah.
You're here a lot.
I'm sorry about the stain on the rug up front.
Was that you? Things happen.
Billy will bill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bronny, thank you. We'll come back with one short segment on TexAgs Radio. All right, time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's, who've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. We got about a minute and a half left, if that. I think it's even less than that. Tomas Romo has been gone. Update the people. He was our social center guy for a long time, did the student podcast. You started from the east side. You were the starter of that.
Yeah, but Kay's done a great job. I know Luke did a great job.
Yeah.
It feels good to be back here visiting my brother who's here at A&M. But no, I've been in Boston. Just got back on Tuesday doing law school. I got 2 more years left, and no, it's been good. I've been enjoying it.
Doing some baseball on the side, too?
Doing some baseball on the side. I was just telling you, I got a tryout end of the month with the Polish national baseball team. If I make the team, I'll be going to Poland end of July, and then I'll be going to Switzerland first couple weeks of August.
Wow.
And then back to school starting end of August.
Our guy Kate in the back, he's still dealing over there for the team here.
Yeah, for the club baseball team. They're going to the World Series. I'm happy for them. I know they've done a great job this year, taking over, doing, some new guys came in after all of us left, but he's a stud, and I'm excited to see what they end up doing.
You did social center for us for 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
And you're already a year into law school? Holy smokes, man.
It's blowing my mind. I got 2 years left, and I'm like, man, I'm going to hopefully have a law degree.
Do you watch the show still? Tell the truth.
I do.
You keep up with Aggie sports?
I follow the sports. I follow you guys on Twitter. I know what's going on. I know. I stay in the loop. I tell everyone up there that, Mike Elko's the truth. I let him know. I let him know that Texas A&M football is on the come up, so I'm excited.
Happy to hear. Great to see you, buddy. Stick around for the rewind, all right? All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Friday. Monday show, Lucci should be back in studio. Who else? We got John Shesha coming in, or he'll be on the phone. So we'll get all that, and we will talk to you then. Hopefully A&M wins at every sport this weekend. That could be really good. We'll see you on Monday.